Exquisite beautiful teacher. The beautiful teacher lived next door to me and made some strange noises every day, so I punched a hole in the wall and found. Chapter 1, Digging a Hole in the Wall. A few days ago, my beautiful head teacher Lin Yue and her boyfriend moved to the next door of my rental house. Our bedroom was only separated by a wall. I could hear her and her boyfriend doing it every night, especially the sound she made, which formed a strong contrast with her aloof appearance in school, making my mind full of scenes of her lying on the bed. This made me crazy to see what our beautiful head teacher, who was usually very aloof, looked like when she was being fucked, so I took advantage of the weekend when Lin Yue was not at home and dug a hole in the wall to see her. Although I was afraid of being discovered by her and her boyfriend, I couldn't resist my inner thoughts at all. On the first day of digging, at around 9 o'clock in the evening, I vaguely heard a voice, "Dear, let's start." I knew immediately that Lin Yue and her boyfriend were about to start. I swallowed hard without thinking, ran to my bed, opened the poster I used to cover the hole, and looked at the hole I dug with my heart pounding. The scene that came into my eyes just as I looked over made my heart tremble. Lin Yue was actually wearing a stewardess outfit with a low-cut short skirt, half kneeling in front of her boyfriend, twisting her willow-like waist, and constantly begging her boyfriend to act quickly. That look was completely different from her aloof appearance at school. Is this really the aloof head teacher Lin Yue in our class? My eyes were wide open, staring at it, and I didn't want to move away anymore. Her boyfriend was originally sitting on the bed playing with his mobile phone. Facing such a beautiful woman like Lin Yue taking the initiative, how could he refuse? He said, "I'll come right away," and he went up and hugged Lin Yue. His hands were not honest, and he started to move on her body, which made Lin Yue scream. Her voice seemed to stimulate her boyfriend, and he began to pull Lin Yue's clothes. Lin Yue seemed to like this tough tone very much, and her face was full of happiness. Her stewardess clothes were pulled down piece by her boyfriend. I saw it clearly, and it made me drool. Finally, without waiting for her boyfriend to do anything, Lin Yue took the initiative to stretch her hands behind her back and unbuttoned her underwear. Without waiting for me to think more, she pulled down all her clothes. The body I had been thinking about day and night was now exposed in front of me without any cover. I was stunned. This is Lin Yue's body. I stared at every part of her body, and I felt that I was about to suffocate. No matter how I swallowed my saliva, I couldn't stay calm, and my whole body felt like it was on fire. This is the one that all the boys in our class want to do, the cold and beautiful head teacher Lin Yue. I just saw her body like this. I was so excited that I almost screamed. And then, I could see her and her boyfriend doing that kind of thing. Thinking of it, I was shocked. Soon, they fulfilled my wish. Lin Yue was very proactive, and she said with a hint of something in her voice, "Dear, hurry up, don't dawdle. Yue, you are such a little goblin." Her boyfriend touched her hard and pressed her down directly. "I am a little goblin, husband, please. Come on." Lin Yue, who was pressed down, said without hiding her emotions. "Okay, I'll do it right away." Faced with Lin Yue's initiative, her boyfriend could no longer control himself, and the two of them soon started that kind of thing. The scenes were all clearly displayed in front of me, and I felt like my nose was bleeding when I saw them. Lin Yue and her boyfriend did that, it turned out to be like this. Moreover, Lin Yue really had a lot of fun, constantly changing all kinds of knowledge while doing it, and even after doing it for a while, Lin Yue actually took out her mobile phone and started taking pictures of her and her boyfriend doing that, not only selfies, but also taking pictures of various poses and details. Of course, these details were also seen clearly by me. I am a novice, how can I withstand all this? I am about to vomit blood. Later, the two of them did it for about 20 minutes, and her boyfriend couldn't do it anymore. Just when I thought they were about to finish, I found that her boyfriend didn't make Lin Yue feel satisfied. She still wanted to continue so much. Seeing that her boyfriend couldn't do it, she kept twisting her body and acting coquettishly, asking her boyfriend to continue, but her boyfriend was unwilling to do it, saying that it had been too many times and he couldn't bear it anymore. He shook his head and went to the bathroom to take a shower alone. Lin Yue angrily scolded him for being useless, but his boyfriend did not respond, so she had to take the phone and lie on the bed. At this moment, I looked at Lin Yue lying on the bed, facing me, and thought that she wanted to continue, and my blood was boiling. I really wanted to run over and do that to her like her boyfriend did. Although I have never done it, her boyfriend just did it. If I go again, I will definitely satisfy her. It's a pity that she is my class teacher. I have a natural fear of her and I don't have the courage at all. But it is also because she is my class teacher that makes me feel more and more worried. I originally planned to leave after watching it, but now I don't want to leave at all. What made me even more unbearable was that after a while, her boyfriend took a shower, and Lin Yue, who still wanted to continue, entangled him again. Her boyfriend was really completely exhausted. Lin Yue had no choice but to lie on the bed and extend her fingers to her. Chapter 2: Finding an Opportunity. This situation seems to happen frequently. Her boyfriend was not surprised at all. He just lowered his head and played with his phone. I cursed him and said he was stupid. I thought it was a waste of talent for Lin Yue to sleep with him. He was average looking and not very good in that aspect. The two of them lived in such a cheap rental house. I really didn't know what Lin Yue liked about him. If it were me, I would definitely be much better than him. But looking at her blurred eyes, I was strongly attracted. My mind was completely hooked by these. Since I was not caught this time, I was like an addict. Every day after school, I would secretly go through the small hole I dug to see my head teacher Lin Yue. Every time Lin Yue and her boyfriend did it, they would play tricks. Today she would wear a stewardess, tomorrow she would wear a nurse, and the day after tomorrow they would play role swapping. I was so excited that I wanted to do to her what she and her boyfriend did. One time when they were doing it, Lin Yue's voice was too loud, and her boyfriend asked her to be quieter. Isn't she afraid that the people next door could hear it? However, Lin Yue said with disdain that the person living next door was a stupid student of hers, who was deafened when listening to lectures in class, and he couldn't hear it at all. When I heard her call me stupid, I was so angry that I wanted to do that kind of thing with her, and even when I saw her cold face in class, I couldn't help but think of pressing her under me and making her submit to me. I don't know what happened. Ever since she called me stupid when we were doing it, she started to target me everywhere in the class, making things difficult for me and deliberately causing trouble for me. One time, I don't know who threw a TT on my desk. I just picked it up and threw it away, but Lin Yue saw it at a glance. Although she was very coquettish at home, she acted very disgusting in class. She hated this kind of behavior. Lin Yue immediately scolded me and said, "Qin Shou, do you know how much impact it will bring to the school if you hold such a dirty thing in class? You are so young, but you have such impure thoughts. What will happen when you grow up?" In front of the whole class, Lin Yue showed the thing to everyone. I felt so ashamed that I almost crawled under the table. Lin Yue stood on the moral high ground and criticized me harshly. My deskmate Jiang Yao, who thought the fire was not strong enough, added fuel to the fire and said, "That's right, Qin Shou is really shameless. Last time he peeked under my skirt, and I didn't say anything to him. Such people are just vulgar. Jiang Yao is the class beauty in our class. I have never seen her. She is wrongly accusing me, but I dare not talk back. I can't afford to offend Lin Yue, and I can't afford to offend Jiang Yao even more. It is said that her brother is a senior executive of the school. What if he fires me? So I can only swallow my anger." Lin Yue was still angry and pointed at me and said, "What's in your head? You have read all the books, right? Have I taught you these? You should learn more from me. I am in my 20s, and I should keep myself clean. You should take me as an example, understand? Keep yourself clean? Take her as an example." I think Lin Yue is really hypocritical to the extreme. She looks like that at home, but she still says that she keeps herself clean in public. I really wanted to make public what she and her boyfriend had done, but I didn't have the courage. If I did, wouldn't she know everything about my digging? I had to endure the throbbing in my heart, nodded and said I knew, and said I would definitely correct it, and she was willing to give up. But when school was over, Lin Yue still called me to the office and criticized me again in front of all the teachers, and took out things to show other teachers. All the teachers criticized me with ridicule. I stood there and blushed, which was really embarrassing. This was not over yet. She stood on the moral high ground and criticized me severely. Her series of actions completely angered me and made me want her even more, and let her pay the price for everything she did to me. Then I began to think about how to make her do that with me. After thinking about it, I found that I couldn't think of any other way except to force it. However, God always favors good people. After a few days, I actually found an opportunity to have her. An opportunity to make her surrender to me. Chapter 3: What are you waiting for? It was Saturday night. Lin Yue had just finished with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend said that he was going on a business trip and would not be back for a month. Even though her boyfriend was average in combat power, he was still useful to Lin Yue. He had been gone for a month, and her reaction should have been very sad, but I saw that she was faintly excited. I didn't understand it at first, but after her boyfriend left the next day, that night, I understood everything. It was probably around 7 o'clock at that time. I thought that since Lin Yue's boyfriend had left, there would be nothing to see in the evening. I was about to invite a few of my classmates to go to the internet cafe to surf the internet, but I heard some movement next door. "Dear, can you satisfy me today?" The voice was Lin Yue, still revealing that she was thinking about that thing. Didn't her boyfriend leave? Could he be back again? I was curious and opened the poster again to look at it. Wow! The man in her room was not her boyfriend, but another man. As soon as her boyfriend left, she couldn't hold back and started to cheat. Lin Yue is too cheap. Of course I wouldn't miss this good show. My heart was beating wildly. It seemed that this man looked very strong, which made Lin Yue very excited. She was even more excited than when her boyfriend was there. Not only did she take the initiative, but she even took out her mobile phone to film what they did. Cheating and taking selfies, how cheap is this woman? I really thought she was so cheap at the time, but looking at her taking selfies, I suddenly had an idea in my mind, and a way to deal with her came out of my heart. That is to film all the scenes of her cheating, and then use this opportunity to threaten her. Let her accompany me to do that. If she refuses, then I will tell her boyfriend. With this idea, I was so excited that I took my mobile phone and recorded everything they did. This man, despite his strong body, was a very useless guy. Not long after, he couldn't do it anymore, and Lin Yue was so angry that she told him to get out. After the man left, Lin Yue put on her clothes and wanted to go out to relax, but she didn't seem to be satisfied yet and wanted to continue. After hesitating for a while, she couldn't stand it anymore. She got off the bed and opened her cupboard, and actually took out something that a woman used herself. The thing hadn't been unpacked yet, and it seemed to be newly bought. In the past, she seemed to have not used it in order to consider her boyfriend's face. After she unpacked it, she took it to the bathroom to wash it, and then she lay half of her body on the bed, with an expectant expression, and began to use the thing. Obviously, this was her first time using these. She still liked taking selfies so much, and she took selfies before she started. I couldn't stand watching her fight with that man just now. Now I couldn't stand it even more. Looking at the video on my phone, my heart was hot, and an idea that made my blood boil appeared in my mind. I have the video in my hand, why don't I go to her now? What are you waiting for? She must need a man now if she thinks so. It's the best time for me to threaten her now. Maybe she will fall for me with just a little threat. Doing it with others is the same, and doing it with me is the same, isn't it? When I thought of this, I couldn't hold back the thoughts in my heart. I hurriedly copied the video on my phone and sent it to my mailbox. Then I ran to Lin Yue's door excitedly. What surprised me was that when the man left just now, he didn't even close the door. I pushed it forward gently and the door was pushed open by me. Lin Yue lived in a single room, which was not very big. When I just entered, I saw that Lin Yue's fair face was already flushed, and her eyes became confused. In the past, I used to sneak through the hole I dug to see her. Now I see her up close, which is a different feeling. What the hell, she is still standing on the moral high ground in the class to educate me. In this situation, she is a typical slut. Lin Yue, who was about to reach that time, saw me coming, glanced at me slightly, and found that it was me who came. She was immediately panicked, and hurriedly pulled up her pants. The mobile phone in her hand also fell to the ground with a crackling sound. She looked at me as if she saw a ghost and screamed. Chapter 4, with the handle in hand, I own the world. Qin Shou, you, how did you get in? Get out now. Lin Yue was furious. I was shocked when I heard that, and my fear of the teacher came back. I subconsciously wanted to leave, but when I was about to turn around, I felt like I was an idiot. It's already this time, and you're still afraid of her? I have the leverage over her? Thinking about it again, she has been targeting me these days, and how she stood on the moral high ground and criticized me in front of everyone that day. Not only did she make me lose face, but she also asked me to learn her pure thoughts. I was so angry. It made me more determined to get her. I let you pretend in school, and now I'll make you happy. Let us see how you can still pretend. After I gently closed the door, I was no longer afraid of her identity as a teacher. I sneered and said to her, "Teacher Lin, didn't you say that you are very pure? Didn't you ask me to learn from you? Then why did you cheat? Why did you do that to yourself? Do you think that what you did was worthy of your title of people's teacher? Are you worthy of the students who respect and love you? Are you worthy of your boyfriend?" I also followed Lin Yui's example and stood on the moral high ground. After I said this, Lin Yui's eyes immediately became flustered and her face became extremely embarrassed. This was a complete slap in the face for her. For a moment, she was so confused that she couldn't speak. After a while, she said to me angrily, "Get out of here now, or I'll call the police. Then I'll say you stole things from my house and get you expelled from school. Do you believe it? Har har, call the police. If you call the police, I guarantee that your boyfriend will know that you just cheated on me." I was quite nervous at first. After all, I was forcing my teacher to do it for me. No matter what, she is still my teacher, a woman who has nothing to do with me. But when I heard that she was going to call the police and frame me, and even expel me, I was completely furious and not afraid at all. I threatened Lin Yue. "What nonsense are you talking about? My boyfriend and I are in love. I tell you, if you keep talking nonsense, even if I don't call the police, I will expel you when I go to school on Monday." Lin Yue's face turned red with anger, and her eyes almost spit fire. She seemed to have vaguely guessed what I was going to do. Not cheating? Then Teacher Lin, let me ask you, who is the heroine here? I am now extremely determined to sleep with her, and I don't care what she says anymore. In order to make her submit, I directly took out my cell phone, and then the video of her doing that thing with the man just now was played. I sneered, picked up the phone, and pointed it into her eyes. "Dear Teacher Lin, you said you didn't cheat, so let me ask you, what is this?" Lin Yue subconsciously glanced in my direction. When she saw the video on her phone showing her and the person having sex, she was completely stunned. "How did you get these?" "Har har, don't worry about how I got it. You just need to know that I have evidence of your cheating. Do you still dare to say that you didn't cheat?" I asked with a sneer. "Then what exactly do you want to do?" The evidence was irrefutable. No matter how Lin Yue denied it, it was useless. She stared at me and asked, "What do you think I want to do?" "Of course I want you to accompany me." I had been waiting for her to say this, so I took a deep breath and said what I wanted to say the most in my heart. When I finished speaking, my heart almost jumped out of my chest. Lin Yue looked incredulous when she heard this, as if she could not imagine that one of her students would actually make such a request to her. She did not give it much thought and directly rejected me. "Qin Shou, I am your teacher, what are you thinking? This is absolutely not possible. If that doesn't work, then I can only expose all your cheating to you. I will have no business what your boyfriend does to you then." I threatened again. My tone was very firm. "Besides, if your cheating is known to the school, do you think you can keep your title of excellent teacher? Qin Shou, you are just like your name, a beast. I am your teacher, and you actually want to sleep with me. Give up, I won't do that kind of thing with you." Hearing what I said, Lin Yue became even more angry. She started shaking all over and spoke almost in a roar. Chapter 5, It's Nature. "Har har, didn't you teach me to be like this? You want to do that kind of thing every day and even cheat on me, so what's wrong with you accompanying me?" I responded with a sneer. I didn't cheat, I just. Lin Yue's expression suddenly became aggrieved, tears welling up in her eyes. She felt as if someone was forcing her to do this. It made people feel pity for her. I think my teacher Lin is really at a loss if she doesn't become an actress. I showed her the video, but she's still pretending that she didn't have it. The more she acted like this, the tougher my attitude became. I almost said in a commanding tone, "Teacher Lin, stop pretending. You have to obey my orders now. I can't wait even a moment. I really didn't lie to you, I'm your teacher, I really can't be with you." When Lin Yue heard what I said, she screamed, her face that made people drool just by looking at it bounced up. She felt even more aggrieved, and tears welled up in her eyes. But I didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy in my heart, because I wanted something to happen between us so badly. Then I continued, "Teacher Lin, don't pretend. The evidence is irrefutable. I just can't understand why you gave yourself up just now because that man didn't satisfy you. What's wrong with doing that with me? You are my teacher, so what? Am I not a man? I am young and strong, much better than them. I said this just to make things clear and to arouse the idea of doing that kind of thing in her heart. But what I didn't expect was that as soon as I said this, she bit her lip tightly and nodded in agreement. Okay, I promise you. But you have to swear that after doing this, you have to destroy the video. You can't tell my boyfriend about this. Hearing that, I felt like I was electrocuted. I was so excited that I almost died. I never thought that she would agree to it after hearing that. How much did she want to do that? Although the biggest reason she agreed to it was because I threatened her, she must have wanted to do that with me, otherwise how could she agree so easily? Thinking about this, how could I not be reluctant to swear? I quickly swore that as long as she did what I asked, I would never tell anyone. If I told anyone, I would be struck by lightning. After saying this, I looked at Lin Yue's graceful figure under the white shirt, and I imitated Lin Yue's commanding tone and ordered her to drag it quickly. I will appreciate her slowly, and then let her treat me like she treats her boyfriend. Although Lin Yue agreed, I was still her student after all. Seeing me swear, she still had some grievance on her face. Then she unbuttoned her denim skirt with both hands and gently pulled it down. Her black safe was revealed in front of me. She said, "Let me pull down my outer pants first, let me get used to it first. After all, I am your teacher and you are my student." Hearing that, I nodded quickly and said yes, but you have to be quick. Although I had seen her through the hole I dug in the past, it felt unreal and distant. It was a completely different feeling than having her in front of me. Then I think again, the person in front of me is myself, the beautiful head teacher who pretends to be pure in class all day long. How can I not be nervous? My heart felt like it was about to jump out of my throat, and my throat felt dry. No matter how hard I tried to swallow, it was of no use. After she finished pulling off her jeans and shorts, she started to pull down her white shirt. As her breasts gradually revealed, I became even more excited. This made me even more excited about what she would look like after she was naked, so I couldn't wait to say, "Go on, go on." This makes me look forward to it even more. She takes off all her clothes, and after she has that idea, she actively asks me for help, or like she does to her boyfriend, she lets her cherry lips do that kind of thing to me, thinking of me, and tells her to hurry up. Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll do it right away. Don't worry. Lin Yue also fully revealed her true nature. Her eyes became charming, as if I was her student and she liked me more. After saying this, she pointed at the items that had just fallen on the ground and asked me if I could use this thing and show me how to use it. You can imagine this scene: your beautiful teacher is actually in front of you, saying that she wants to use that thing and show me how to do it. This kind of experience has never happened even with her boyfriend. I felt like a fire was burning in my body, and I immediately ordered her to continue. As for why she suddenly cooperated, I thought she must be showing her true nature. She was just unwilling on the surface just now, but she was willing after I pushed her a little bit. After all, she is that kind of woman. After hearing my order, Lin Yue bent down, picked up the supplies I selected, and started. Chapter 6: Make her pay the price. I saw her slowly put her hands behind her back and began to unbutton her clothes. My breathing stopped and I stared at her intently. I didn't want to miss even a single moment. As long as she unbuttoned the buttons at the back, I could see up close how big it was. It wasn't real enough when I looked at it through the hole in the wall. Can you please stop staring at me like that? I'm a woman, I'll be shy. Can you turn around? Lin Yue suddenly said. Okay, then you have to hurry up. I was too anxious at the time, and my mind was full of wanting to see it. In order to see it quickly, I turned around. And to be honest, I was also very nervous. You know, before coming in, I had never thought that things would go so smoothly. Well, okay, I'll hurry up. I'll give you a big surprise soon. Lin Yue said with a smile. When I heard there was a surprise, my heart was filled with excitement, thinking about what trick she would play on me and how happy she would make me. I was so excited that I almost fainted. If I hadn't had some self-control, I would have screamed out of excitement. I felt it was so worth it. I wanted Lin Yue, this was something I had been thinking about all day, but I never thought it would come true. If I could really give her that, people in school would be so jealous of me. How I wish she could take off her clothes quickly, so that when I turn around, she would be naked. That way I can enjoy Lin Yue, my cool class teacher. TSK. Go to hell. But I had only been fantasizing for a few seconds when Lin Yue said this to me in a cold voice. Then, before I could react, I felt a heavy blow to my head. Looking back, I was shocked to find that the feminine products in Lin Yue's hand were gone, and replaced by a laptop. It was the laptop in her hand that hit me on the head. I just realized that she grabbed the laptop and hit me again. The pain made me dizzy. She took this opportunity to snatch my mobile phone away. Then, with a teasing and disgusting expression on her face, she said, "A toad wants to eat swan meat, and a student wants to mess with the head teacher. You can dream on." Then, she took my phone, ran out and closed the door. This scene completely dumbfounded me, but no matter how dumb I was, I knew that I had been fooled by Lin Yue. This made me extremely angry. I didn't want her to succeed at all. But she hit my head just now. It was so painful that I fell directly on her bed. It took me a long time to stand up. When I chased out, Lin Yue was nowhere to be found outside. I had no idea where she had gone. She snatched my phone away. I guess she wanted to delete the video I just took. Holy shit, fuck. Seeing this, I was so angry that I almost vomited blood. However, I didn't mean to let it go. Without any hesitation, I chased after him. However, when I ran out to the street, the person had already disappeared. The duck that was almost in my grasp flew away. I was so angry and missed her even more. Did she think that she was done by taking my phone? Fortunately, I was smart and had backed it up in my mailbox before coming here. This is her home. She will come back sooner or later. Once she comes back, I will continue to threaten her. I don't believe she won't give in. My cell phone was snatched away by her, with the QQ number still hanging on it. In order to prevent her from finding the things in my mailbox, I hurried back to my home. I saved the contents in the mailbox on my computer. In order to have more backups, I also applied for 7 or 8 small accounts at a time and backed up everything in the small mailboxes. I was relieved, so I took a bench, went to the door of her room, and sat there waiting. But things didn't go as I wished. I waited for most of the night, but she didn't come back. Later, I thought, even if she didn't come back at night because she was afraid, she still had to go back to school. She was the teacher who was rated as the best teacher in the school. She had never been absent since she started teaching. I would just go to school to meet her. If I could have sex with her in school, wouldn't that be even better? After having this thought, I went back to my room. Although I didn't do that, it was also a gain. Lying on the bed, I took out the backed up video. Watching her having an affair with that man, I couldn't remain calm. I made up my mind that when I found her, I would make her pay the price. Moreover, I had the video in my hand, so I wasn't afraid that she would not agree. Then I immersed myself in the video and did it again and again. But thinking that I could threaten Lin Yue the next day, even if I did it 6 or 7 times in one night, I was still full of energy. My cell phone was snatched away by Lin Yue, but luckily my friend had an unused cell phone which he lent me. After I downloaded the video to that phone, I returned to school with excitement on my face. When I arrived at school, I was excited to find that things were just as I thought. As an excellent class teacher, Lin Yue would not be absent. The 4th class in the morning was her English class. As soon as the bell rang, Lin Yue, who was dressed very pure, came to the classroom in high heels. Seeing her almost perfect figure, my saliva almost flowed out. I thought, after the class is over, I will threaten her with the video in my hand again. I don't believe that she can still refuse. If she really doesn't agree, I will play it in front of all the classmates. Anyway, I have to make her pay the price. Chapter 7, Bold Ideas. Students, today we are going to talk about yesterday's test paper in a comprehensive manner. After arriving in the classroom, Lin Yue taught the class in her usual vigorous and decisive manner, but she seemed a little nervous and did not look in my direction while teaching. Although I pretended to take out the test paper and listen to the lecture, my eyes were fixed on Lin Yue. I found that her face looked a little haggard, and it was obvious that she did not sleep well last night. Seeing this, I was so excited. The reason why she couldn't sleep well must be because I caught her yesterday. She was panicking, har har. Being caught stealing from me was not a big deal for her, and she could have gotten away with it with any excuse. But being caught by me and doing a live naked chat was a big deal for her. After all, she was an upright teacher, and she had worked hard to maintain this image. If her friends and students knew that she was such a slut, she would be doomed. It would be strange if she didn't feel scared, but this gave me an opportunity. I don't believe that if I use this to threaten her, she will still give in, har har. Watching Lin Yue walking back and forth on the podium, I couldn't help but fantasize about her slowly taking off her clothes one by one and teaching us naked. Although it was just a fantasy, the visual impact still made me feel excited, and I looked forward to the end of the get out of class even more. Ring, ring, ring. As the bell for the end of get out of class rang, I became excited. She was in class and I couldn't find her. After school, I could go find her openly. But Lin Yue had something to hide, and seemed to know my threat to her. She said class was over, and hurriedly left the classroom with her textbook. You want to run? No way. Thinking about how she played a trick on me yesterday, I was so angry that I was not willing to let go of this opportunity. When I saw her leaving, I immediately followed her. But I never expected that she seemed to know what I was thinking. After leaving the classroom, she quickly ran to the office. Before I reached the place, she came out shoulder to shoulder with Jiang Rong, our Chinese teacher, and the two of them were talking and laughing. I hid myself immediately and overheard their conversation from a distance. Lin Yue said that she had not been feeling well these days and wanted Jiang Rong to accompany her. Could she live in her house these days? Jiang Rong probably thought that she was really ill, so she said, "My poor little girl, I'll accompany you," and agreed. Hearing this, I cursed in my heart, "Damn it, Lin Yue, it's obvious that she is guarding against me. With Jiang Rong following her, how can I find an opportunity? This woman is not only a mean person at heart, but also very scheming." However, I have become addicted to Lin Yue, and I will not give up until I have done what I want. Even if my Chinese teacher Jiang Rong is following me, I still follow her secretly, thinking that there will be a time when she will be left alone, and then I will go over and threaten her. I just followed them for a few hours, and until they went back to school together, I didn't have any chance. After returning to the classroom, I finally understood that Lin Yue would not give me any chance to get close to her. Besides, after school, my Chinese teacher Jiang Rong had to accompany her, so it was almost impossible for me to get in touch with her. I want to make her pay the price, but it has to be when she can't leave somewhere. Later, after thinking about it, I came up with a super bold idea. I will do it to her while she is in class. Yes, I will threaten her while she is in class. I don't know how she can escape. She is so hypocritical and cares very much about her title of excellent teacher. If you find her during class, she will definitely not run away. When I thought of this, I looked at the schedule and found that the first class in the afternoon was English. This made me excited. After all, I am usually an honest student. During class, I threatened the teacher to give me that. Is this a bit too much? Time passed quickly. I had only been sitting in the classroom for a few minutes when the bell for the first class rang, which made me even more nervous. But I was really addicted. After waiting for Lin Yue to enter the classroom in high heels, I suddenly became bolder, especially when I saw her lecturing at the podium. I couldn't stand it anymore. So, before she finished speaking, I suddenly stood up and said to Lin Yue, "Teacher, I have something to tell you." Lin Yue subconsciously looked towards me for my sudden response. When she saw it was me, her face changed visibly, and she even showed a hint of panic in her eyes. However, she was still so good at acting. Within a second, she said seriously, "If you have anything to say, wait until the get out of class is over. Listen carefully now and don't delay everyone's study time. That's right, don't delay our class, sit down quickly." My deskmate Jiang Yao also said that Lin Yue was serious, while she used an imperative tone. If I heard Jiang Yao say this at other times, I would probably sit down obediently, but I really wanted Lin Yue to pay the price. So I didn't listen to them at all. Of course, what drove me to do these things was threatening Lin Yue to give me that during class. It was too exciting to do that. Then, I gritted my teeth, made up my mind, and not only did I not sit down, but I bravely walked straight to the podium. Chapter 8, Teacher Lin is surprised. Seeing me walking towards the podium, Lin Yue looked extremely unhappy and immediately ordered me, "Qin Shou, you go back to your seat and don't come over." Yes, sit down now and be quiet. Jiang Yao was so popular in the class that no one dared to listen to her. When she saw that I not only didn't listen but also went to the podium, she immediately became unhappy. She frowned and ordered me again. To be honest, I was a little scared facing the orders from the two of them, but the thought of threatening Lin Yue in class seemed to have taken over me, and I couldn't care less about it. I just walked forward, and then I walked to the podium under the gaze of the whole class. You go back to your seat, do you hear me? If you have anything to say, talk after class." Seeing me walk up to the podium, Lin Yue was scared. She slammed the table and almost yelled at me. At this time, their whole class was staring at me with a look of surprise. I should have been very scared, but when I looked at Lin Yue's appearance, I became more and more courageous. I took a step forward, approached her, and whispered in her ear, "Teacher Lin, follow me out now. If you don't want to, then I will tell them all the good things you did yesterday. Whether they believe it or not, as long as I tell them, it will definitely have a very big impact on you." "You?" Lin Yue stared at me with an expression of disbelief on her face. I guess she would never have thought that a student like me would dare to threaten her in class. I guess Lin Yue must be so angry. "Hurry up and go, or I'll tell you," I said immediately. When Lin Yue heard this, her face changed from gloomy to happy, but seeing so many eyes on us in the class, she was finally scared and chose to compromise. She snorted coldly and walked out of the classroom in her high heels. Seeing this, I was overjoyed and hurriedly followed him out. I didn't care about the people in the class who were pointing fingers at me. But Lin Yue was really guilty. As soon as I walked out, she closed the door and coldly told everyone in the class to take out the papers now. "If you can't finish them later, you will be punished to copy them 50 times. This scene left me stunned. It was obvious that Lin Yue was very angry. That tone was what I feared the most. However, the more she was like this, the more excited I became, and my courage grew. Even when we just went out, she frowned and asked me in a tone that only teachers use when they are scolding students, what did I want to do by calling her out? Was it because I wanted to get the last place in the monthly exam? I was not afraid at all, but stared at her pretty face and said, "Teacher, I called you out for no other reason. You haven't done what you promised me last night. You have to give me an explanation today, no matter what you say." "What about that thing?" "I don't know what you are talking about." "And this is the tone you use to talk to the teacher? Do you still want to study?" Lin Yue had no intention of admitting it. She frowned and lectured me again. Seeing that she didn't admit it, I was a little angry and didn't want to be polite with her, so I said, "Don't pretend. We both know the truth about that matter. If you pretend again, I will tell your boyfriend that you had an affair while he was away. You know the consequences." He, tell him. "Do you have any evidence? Do you think my boyfriend will believe it? And you are a threat to me now. Believe it or not, I can have the school expel you immediately." Lin Yue laughed a few times at first as if she heard something, and then replied to me in a slightly threatening tone. She really thought that if she took my phone away, I would have no evidence. What she said made me stunned. I didn't say anything for a long time. It seemed that she was not afraid that I would call the police. Seeing that I didn't say anything, she thought I was afraid and became more aggressive. "If you don't have evidence, don't say anything. Hurry up and return to class and study hard. Otherwise, I will notify the school to expel you immediately." Faced with her threat, I was not afraid. Instead, I shook my head and laughed. "What are you laughing at? If you laugh again, I will call the principal and ask him to come over and see your disgusting behavior. Although I have not been teaching for a long time, I have never seen a disgusting student like you who dares to threaten the teacher. This is too much," Lin Yue said angrily. "Okay, call now. It would be better if the principal comes. I have a video I want to show him. I wonder what the principal will think of you after seeing it." I took out the mobile phone I borrowed and opened the video page. Videos are useless. If you really want the principal to come, I can call him right away. Lin Yue looked indifferent. She seemed to think that since she had taken my phone away yesterday, I had no video to threaten her. I didn't continue what she said. Instead, I clicked on the video, smiled, and played it in front of Lin Yue. As soon as the video is opened, you can hear the sound of a woman who can't help but make excitement. If you look closely, you will see a woman who strongly asks the man to go faster and hold on a little longer. This woman is none other than Lin Yue herself. Chapter 9 Threats. At first, when Lin Yue saw the video, she looked indifferent, but when she saw that the person in the video was herself, she covered her mouth in surprise, and the expression on her face was as exciting as it could be. Looking at Lin Yue's current appearance, I felt so happy. So, I quickly said to her, Har, Teacher Lin, I wonder what you think of your performance in the video." Lin Yue's face was already very excited, and when she heard what I said, it became even more excited. Without saying a word, she reached out to snatch the phone I borrowed. I was prepared for this. I laughed and took it back immediately. How could she take it away? Where did this video come from? I clearly deleted the video from your phone. Delete it for me now. Seeing that she had failed, Lin Yue's face became even uglier. I was so happy watching her like that. Then I said to her, "Har har, do you think I'm a fool? How could I delete it for you? As for where I got the video, I certainly won't tell you. However, I can tell you that I have a lot of backups. I now have at least more than 100 videos of this kind. I don't want to talk too much nonsense with you. I want you to complete what you promised me yesterday. If you don't obey me, I will release this video. If there is any bad influence, don't blame me. Teacher Lin." "No. I won't agree to you. If you make it public, I will call the police and say you are threatening and blackmailing me," Lin Yue said coldly. Seeing that she was still not giving in, to be honest, it was a little beyond my expectation. When I heard her say that she was going to call the police to arrest me, I was scared to death and almost wanted to give up. However, desire took over and I would lose my composure whenever I saw Lin Yue. Especially now that we are in class, I feel even more excited. What's more, I really don't like her unyielding look. I must make her surrender so that I can have a good time. I continued, "Go ahead and call the police. I want to see who will be more affected between the two of us. If the school leaders knew what you did, would you still have a job? What do you think the students in the class will think when they find out that their seemingly innocent teacher is actually a slut who likes to cheat? Moreover, I can show it to the classmates right now. Your boyfriend will know everything by then, and you can just wait to be ruined and lose everything. You." Lin Yue was so angry when she heard that, but when she saw her classmates doing their papers, she turned pale with fear. In the end, she seemed to have lost all her energy, and she finally chose to obey. Including the threat at my house, this was the second time. She looked much calmer than yesterday. She just lowered her head, struggled a little, and agreed to me, okay, I'll do it with you, but you have to promise me that after we're done, you'll destroy and forget the video and everything that happened between us. Don't mention it to anyone, and I didn't cheat on you, let alone every day." Even though I was tricked by her yesterday, I was still so excited when I heard her agree. I almost screamed out loud because I could see that Lin Yue was really scared now that she knew I had backed up hundreds of copies of the video. She wouldn't dare to do what she did yesterday again. How could I not agree to her request? As for her excuse that she didn't cheat, I was too lazy to argue with her. Anyway, there was video evidence, so whatever she said was useless. Then I said excitedly, "Teacher Lin, as long as you behave, I can agree to anything you ask." "Yeah." Lin Yue nodded. Seeing her nod, the fire in my heart rose up. I looked at her flaming red lips, her chest heaving with anger, and her curvy figure. I had an immediate reaction there. I felt extremely uncomfortable, and there was only one thought in my mind: Lin Yue's body is mine now, and I can do whatever I want. Then, I swallowed my saliva, took another look, and hugged Lin Yue, the girl I had always dreamed of. Then I touched the breasts I had been longing for. In the past I just watched, but today I want to experience it for myself. Chapter 10. Anything is okay. No, don't. Lin Yue felt what I was going to do. Before I could touch her, she covered her chest with her hands, trying her best to protect that place. The more she resisted, the more excited I felt, and the more I wanted to touch her, so I reached out to pry her hands apart. She still tried her best to resist, and kept begging me, "It's really not okay here, if someone sees us, it will be over. Please. Can't we do it again when we get home? Then everything will be yours." I didn't listen to what she said at all and kept trying to pry her hands open so that I could touch her breasts. However, as she continued to struggle, not only was I unable to pry her hands open, but her moans became louder and louder. If they were a little louder, everyone in the class would have heard them. Although I found this very exciting, if I was discovered by the classmates, Jiang Yao, who was usually domineering, and those hooligans in the class would definitely not let me off. I tried to pry it open again, but when it still didn't open, I chose to give up for the time being. I can't touch her breasts, but I can always kiss her. Looking at Lin Yue's red lips, I want to bite them. Before we do it, I have to taste her. Although I have never kissed a woman and have no experience, and I just found out that Lin Yue is much taller than me, but hugging her and feeling her softness, I can't help it. I stand on tiptoe and want to kiss her. If I don't touch her, I'll be so anxious. Don't want. But what I didn't expect was that before my mouth touched her, Lin Yue actually blocked my mouth with her hand. "Don't touch anything, and you still say you are willing to accompany me. Seeing this, I immediately got angry. Chin Shou, it's not that I don't want to, but it's class time now. No matter what, you are still my student. I really can't accept doing that kind of thing for you outside the class. I hope you can understand. Lin Yue said, shaking her head with an embarrassed look on her face. No, you don't have any sincerity at all. What if you regret it later? I don't care. You must let me touch you and kiss you now. I refused without thinking. Of course, I am 100% sure that she agreed to me. I said this because I was too anxious. I couldn't stand not being able to touch her even though she had agreed to it. Besides, I really want to play with Lin Yue here in front of everyone. Although this idea is a bit perverted, it makes me think more and more. I am so excited. Chin Shou, even though you threaten me, I also have my dignity. Lin Yue's expression was serious. She would never let me touch her, but she was still afraid of me, so she said to me, Chin Shou, I really hope you can take care of my feelings. How about this? Didn't you say that I was insincere? Then I promise you now that after school in the afternoon when we return to the rental house, you can play however you want. At that time, whatever you want me to do, I will do it. I can definitely satisfy you. I am so beautiful and I am your teacher. Is my sincerity enough for you to do this? Of course, if you still don't want to, then there is nothing more to talk about. You're okay with me playing any way you want. Are you sure? To be honest, I was immediately moved by what she said. When I thought about it carefully, when she was doing that with me, she did whatever I asked her to do. I couldn't stand it. How could she not be willing? What's more, her attitude is so tough now. If I continue to force her, and she doesn't want to do it, it will have the opposite effect, and I will have nothing. Sure, any way is fine. Lin Yue nodded and said, how about it, is my sincerity okay now? I heard her and thought to myself, of course you can, but when I think about that scene, I can't bear it. But I was fooled by her last time, so I have to learn my lesson. I reminded her again, of course you can, but you can't play any tricks. I tell you, I not only have that video in my phone, I also saved it in many other places. Even if you smash my phone, it will be useless. And if you take any measures to get the video, I can guarantee that the next day, the video will be spread all over the school. Your boyfriend will also know that you cheated on me. Hearing my malicious reminder, Lin Yue's face turned ugly, but she still nodded to show that she understood. Only then did I let her go. She glared at me with hatred, took the mobile phone that she had snatched from me yesterday from her arms and threw it to me. Then she returned to the classroom with an angry face. It was obvious that she was about to die of anger. Although what I did was excessive, I can only say that Lin Yue had it all to herself. Who made her so coquettish? Who made her call me a fool, embarrass me and target me everywhere? If all this hadn't happened, I wouldn't have done this to her. Let her hate me as she pleases. As long as I can achieve my goal and make her pay the price, what does it matter? Chapter 11 Courage Comes. Lin Yue walked into the classroom, and I took the phone and followed her in. Lin Yue was really good at hiding her feelings. She was so angry just now, but as soon as I entered the classroom, she smiled and started teaching. I was used to her acting talent and quickly returned to my seat. However, as soon as I sat down, my desk mate Jiang Yao crossed her legs, looked at me with contempt, and said in a low voice with sarcasm, "Wow, TT brother, you were really awesome just now. You didn't even listen to me. Did you take Viagra?" Jiang Yao is very pretty. She is the kind of girl who goes for the cute route. If you only look at her appearance, you will think she is cute and adorable. Any man would like her. When I first sat at the same table with her, I thought she was really nice. But after less than a day of getting along, I discovered that she had a very bad temper and loved to bully me by relying on her brother's status as a school leader. Every day, she either asked me to copy homework for her or run errands for her to buy things. She also laughed at and ridiculed me from time to time. The nickname, Brother TT, was given to me because of what happened to TT last time. Now that I think about it, she must have put that TT there on purpose to frame me. When I heard her talking to me like this, I knew I had offended her, because usually I always obeyed her, but just now I didn't listen to her, which was tantamount to challenging her authority, and she was angry in her heart. I used to be very afraid of teachers. I thought they could expel students at will, so I was very afraid of Jiang Yao's brother. But after what happened with Lin Yue, I wasn't so afraid anymore. I thought teachers were just like that. What was there to be afraid of? So, I didn't intend to pay any attention to her at all. I sat on the chair, picked up the English test paper, and pretended to look at it. My behavior surprised her. She had never expected that I would dare to ignore her. Her cute face immediately turned red. If Lin Yue hadn't been there, she would have slammed the table. She pointed at me and said, "Okay, Qin Shou, you have a bad temper. If you dare to ignore me, believe it or not, I will tell my brother and I will fire you immediately. Go ahead, fire me if you want. I'm not afraid of your brother now. If your brother has the guts, fire me." I replied nonchalantly without even looking at her. "Qin Shou, try saying it again." Jiang Yao glared at me angrily. "Jiang Yao, I'm not afraid of your brother. If you have the guts, just expel me." I was fed up with her humiliation. Now I felt that the teacher was nothing at all. I decided not to endure the humiliation anymore and repeated what I had just said word for word. "Okay, just wait for me. After class, I'm going to find my brother and get you fired." Jiang Yao was so angry that she was shaking all over. She pointed at me and turned away without saying anything. I glanced at her, then lowered my head and pretended to look at the test paper, but in my heart I was thinking about Lin Yue and everything that was going to happen between her and me that evening. After class, Lin Yue left the classroom with a smile as usual, but Jiang Yao pointed at me arrogantly and said, "Wait a minute, I'm done and should pack up and get out," and then ran out of the classroom. I knew she was going to find her brother. When the class was about to start, Jiang Yao came back, but this time she was no longer arrogant, but dejected. Needless to say, she was humiliated by her brother. She sat in the chair with her head down and didn't say anything until the bell rang. Then she pointed at me and said, "Qin Shou, I'll let you show off in school for a few days, but I won't let you show off for too long." After that, she turned her head away and ignored me. I was listening from the side and was speechless. She was clearly the one bullying me, but she still said I was showing off. Who was showing off? However, after being speechless, I felt like the stone pressing on me was gone. In the past, because I was afraid of her brother, I was bullied by her a lot, and I was under a lot of psychological pressure. Now that I see that she can't do anything to me at all, I feel very happy and very, very relieved. Of course, I don't care about these things now, because when I get home from school in the afternoon, I can do that kind of thing with Lin Yue and taste the taste of a woman. For the whole afternoon, all I could think about was the scene of Lin Yue doing that thing with me naked, and she did whatever I asked her to do. Think about her and her boyfriend. They have done it so many times. They must know so many things. It would make me feel so good and excited. I want to die. I didn't listen to the class at all. I even thought that if there is a first time, there will be a second time. If I make her feel comfortable, we live so close, maybe I can do that with her every day in the future. That scene is really enough to make your blood boil. The more I thought about it, the more I couldn't calm down. I was really afraid that Lin Yue would run away as soon as school was over. When the get out of class was about to end, I quickly sent her a text message to remind her, telling her that since she had agreed to do it, she had to do it, otherwise she would bear the consequences. Don't think that I'm easy to fool just because I'm a student. If she makes me angry, she will definitely suffer a bad ending. Chapter 12: A Special Request. Lin Yue replied to me very quickly, but she didn't want to chat with me more, she just replied with a hum. Seeing this, I was still worried, so I told her that I would go to the office door to find her, and then we would go back together. I promised that I would not touch her on the way. I would not do anything to her. But Lin Yue still rejected me, saying that she didn't want others to see me and her together. She felt it was weird for a teacher and a student to go back to the rental house together to do that kind of thing. Besides, she had something to do with her colleagues after school and couldn't go back to the rental house right away. If I forced her, she wouldn't do that with me. Seeing her tough attitude, I didn't force her, but I was still afraid that she would lie to me, so after school, I rushed straight to the office. When I saw her and teacher Jiang Rong coming out together, I rode my electric scooter and followed them. Teacher Jiang Rong is also very beautiful. She is a famous beauty teacher in the school. She has fair skin and often wears a white dress. She looks a bit like an immortal, giving people a feeling of being inviolable and gentle. But after what happened with Lin Yue, I no longer believe in appearances. Jiang Rong and Lin Yue have such a good relationship, I guess she is not a good person either. She looks inviolable and gentle on the surface, but who knows what shameful things she is doing behind the scenes. Maybe Jiang Rong is also very coquettish. Anyway, because of Lin Yue, I think there may be no good women in this world. However, if Jiang Rong gives me that, I will definitely not hesitate. Hee hee. After the two of them came out of school, they went shopping hand in hand. I followed them all their way until after 10 o'clock in the evening. They showed signs of going back, but what shocked me was that they actually went back to the rental house together. This made me anxious. I thought Lin Yue was playing some tricks again, so I immediately sent her a text message to ask, "What do you mean by bringing Jiang Rong back?" About 10 minutes later, Lin Yue replied to me. She said that Jiang Rong had a fight with her husband and had to stay overnight in her rental house. Teacher Lin, did you do this on purpose? If you let Teacher Jiang stay overnight in your room, what else can we do? Are you kidding me again? When I saw what Lin Yue said, I was immediately furious. I've been following you for so long, and now you want to get rid of me just like that. I didn't do it on purpose, it just happened so suddenly and there was nothing I could do about it. Lin Yue replied to me after a while. What do you mean? You won't do it for me. Seeing this, I almost smashed my phone in anger. I was so annoyed. I'm not the kind of person who doesn't keep his word. I will definitely do it with you, okay? Lin Yue replied. Okay, you said so, then come to my house and do it later. I breathed a sigh of relief and went back. I thought to myself, as long as she is willing, it means she is not lying to me, and if she is not willing, she must be lying to me. However, she actually said that she didn't want to do it in my house, which made me furious. Just when I was about to scold her, she sent me another text message saying that as a teacher, she absolutely could not go to students' homes and do that kind of thing with students. She also told me not to worry, she would think of where to do it. Now I just hope that I can go look for her. Otherwise, if Jiang Rong knew that she was going to do that with one of her students, she would be finished. She couldn't afford to lose face. She told me not to send her text messages anymore. She would contact me when she found a good place. When I saw this, I wanted to curse again. She has come to my house for a live nude chat, and now she has the nerve to say that she doesn't want to come to my house to do that, and she wants me to wait for her. How long do I have to wait? I had only one thought at that time, Lin Yue would definitely stand me up again, but I still wanted her too much, and Jiang Rong was with her, so I really didn't dare to do anything. It would be embarrassing enough for Jiang Rong to know that I was thinking about Lin Yue. So, I had no choice but to return to the rental house and wait for Lin Yue day and night. What relieved me was that after waiting for more than half an hour, Lin Yue contacted me. When I excitedly opened my phone, I never thought that Lin Yue actually said that we should do it in the stairwell on the 4th floor. This really made me completely dumbfounded. Our building has 5 floors, and people live on every floor. She wanted to do it on the 4th floor. Wasn't she just looking for the excitement of being discovered by others? People like this still have the nerve to say that they want to save face. But it's good enough that I can have her, right there on the stairs, and, just think about it, it's exciting enough. But this woman has a criminal record, what should I do if she still fools me? Just in case, after seeing the message she sent me, I warned her again that if I didn't see her in the stairwell at 11 o'clock, her ugly deeds would be made public tomorrow. She didn't respond to my warning. I don't know if she was too disdainful to respond to me or was afraid that Jiang Rong would find out. I took a shower in my room and then lay on the bed. I turned on the video on my phone and watched the scene of Lin Yue comforting herself yesterday. Although I couldn't see her most private parts, her soul-stirring cries still made my heart burn with joy. Coupled with the sultry weather, I felt like my whole body was on fire and I really wanted to vent all of my emotions. And the one in the stairwell, I'm almost dying of pleasure just thinking about it. Maybe while doing it, I'll attract the neighbors. Lin Yue is really daring. But if she dares to play, I dare to do it. As long as she can have him, she can do whatever she wants. Looking at the pointer pointing to 12 o'clock, I couldn't bear it anymore and walked to the 4th floor stealthily. Because doing it in the stairwell is really exciting, I was very careful when going up, and my heart was extremely excited. But when I reached the 4th floor and thought that Lin Yue might not come, I found that she had already come and was standing at the corner of the stairs on the 4th floor. Chapter 13 I like. She was playing with her phone with her head down, and her graceful figure was clearly revealed. She had such a good figure and such a perky butt, she was simply a top-notch beauty, much better than the heroines in the movies. Seeing this, I was ecstatic and excited, I almost screamed out loud, and there was an immediate reaction there, because she really came. Didn't this mean that I could have sex with her? Her extremely beautiful body must belong to me, right? And it was on the stairwell. I was extremely excited and nervous. Moreover, she seemed to have just taken a shower, and a unique fragrance came over me, which made me unable to extricate myself and really wanted to do it immediately. But since she was already here, I couldn't run away even if I wanted to. Besides, we are in the stairwell now, and maybe someone will come upstairs or downstairs in a while. I have to find the right opportunity, otherwise if I am seen, she won't feel embarrassed, but I will. Thinking about this, I walked up to her with great excitement, and called her tremblingly, Teacher Lin. Lin Yue, who was playing on her phone, was startled when she heard this, but then her expression returned to normal. She took a look and said to me coldly, "Oh, you're here." "Yes, I'm coming." Lin Yue was so beautiful at this moment. It would be so exciting to have sex with her later. Seeing how beautiful she was, I didn't care even if her tone was cold. Then, I stared at every sensitive part of her body and said excitedly, "I didn't lie to you. After you're done, you have to give me everything, understand?" Lin Yue looked at me with some disgust. Hearing that, I was so excited that I didn't even think about threatening her. As long as she could do it for me, I would do anything. So, I quickly said to her like a chicken pecking at rice, "Okay, Teacher Lin, as long as you do it for me, I will definitely destroy all the videos." "That's good." Lin Yue nodded. Her face was cold but also revealed a hint of shyness. But in my eyes, she was as beautiful as a fairy. She captured my soul, especially her pretty face and every part covered by her pajamas. She almost killed me. I couldn't bear it anymore. Then, I swallowed hard, looked at Lin Yue, and stuttered out the words I wanted to say most in my heart, "Teacher Lin, can I start?" When Lin Yue heard this, a look of disgust appeared on her face again, but she came here ready to do it with me, so how could she be unwilling? Then, she nodded with a blushing face. "Teacher Lin, you are so beautiful today." After getting her answer, looking at Lin Yue's appearance and the fact that there was no movement of people around the stairwell, I couldn't bear it any longer and pounced on Lin Yue like a wild beast that had never eaten meat. Looking at her seductive red lips and smelling the fragrance coming from her body, I kissed her directly. In an instant, I kissed those soft, wet and fragrant lips. My first kiss was gone instantly, but I felt very satisfied. It was so worth it to give it to Lin Yue. I have imagined kissing countless times in the past, but I never thought that my first kiss would be with my beautiful teacher. Moreover, it happened in the stairwell. It was so exciting. Afterwards, I started kissing her wildly, and put my tongue in like I saw on TV. However, I had no experience in kissing, so my movements were very rough, almost like biting. I just did whatever made her feel comfortable and satisfied, which made Lin Yue's face look even more disgusted. However, the more she did this, the more excited I became, and my hands could not help but touch her chest directly. At that moment, I was so happy that I almost died, which made me even more excited. I touched every part of her body vigorously, touching wherever it was soft, and did everything I wanted. She resisted a little at first, screaming very quickly and saying no over and over, but as I continued to grope her body, she stopped resisting, although she was still humming and saying no. But it was obvious that her speech speed slowed down, and her breathing became heavier and heavier. After touching her for a while, it seemed that she was comfortable, and her word "no" gradually became an uncontrollable cry. Although her voice was not as exaggerated as in the movies, it was still very attractive. Moreover, she seemed afraid of being heard by the residents around her, so she did not dare to amplify it and tried her best to suppress her voice. However, this voice sounded better than a woman's scream. It sounded so good to me, and it made me realize that once she felt comfortable, she became willing to do it instead of being reluctant. This is her true nature. But I like it. Chapter 14, More Active Than Me. Her body is simply the most beautiful thing I have ever experienced. Needless to say, I will kill her right here and then. It will be even better than a dream. This made me even more restless. Lin Yue was wearing a thin nightgown and she felt it immediately, which made her shy. In order to avoid me, she kept backing away and even tried to break free from my arms. The more she did this, the more excited I became. I completely ignored her struggles and hugged her tightly so that she could not break free no matter what. I could see in the moonlight that her face was blushing and she looked so beautiful that I was almost driven to death by her. I just thought, let us do it quickly and give her my first time. Then, I went crazy. I wanted to taste the taste there. Facing my strong attack, Lin Yue struggled a little at first, but the more she struggled, the more it aroused my desire to conquer her, so I kissed her more fiercely. Maybe women all like strong men. I felt that Lin Yue stopped struggling and no longer cared about me taking off her clothes. She also began to actively respond with her mouth. Her experience is far greater than mine. At first I just nibbled randomly, but under the slow guidance of her tongue, we both really started to kiss. I opened my eyes and looked at Lin Yue. At that moment, she had her eyes closed tightly, and her blushing face was full of enjoyment, which meant that our kiss made her feel good. Thinking that she was struggling and resisting just now, but now she is enjoying it and is more proactive than me, I feel that this is her nature and she is much more open than I thought. The more she acted like this, the more I liked her and the more eager I became to make things happen between us that shouldn't have happened. However, what I didn't expect was that Lin Yue was more proactive than me. After we kissed for a while, she began to ask for it, asking me if I didn't want her and why I didn't do it. When a woman takes the initiative to ask for something, it is more likely to stimulate a man's desire, especially when the object is his teacher. The sense of stimulation is really indescribable. I couldn't control myself all of a sudden and wanted to push her to the ground and have sex with her right there. But just when I said I wanted her, she made an unexpected request: if you want to do it with me, you must let me film the whole process. Take a picture. I was a little dumbfounded by her request, although I also wanted to take a picture in my heart. After all, if I did so, I could reminisce about my first time with teacher Lin Yue all day long. What a great memory it would be. I'd love to do it. If this gets out, I won't feel ashamed. On the contrary, I will feel very awesome. See, I even slept with my own teacher. And this also meets her needs. You know, she has always liked taking selfies and recording everything she does. If you just asked me to take pictures, I would feel a little embarrassed. She seemed to want to film our first time together. Seeing that I was embarrassed, she said, "Qin Shou, wouldn't it be good to film it? Think about it, I took your first time in a place like this. Don't you think it's meaningful and you have to film it as a souvenir? And don't you feel good filming it while we're doing it?" Lin Yue's look at this moment was full of coquettishness that she only had when she wanted to. It was completely different from the image she had maintained in school before. But I liked it so much, it stimulated my heart immediately, especially what she said afterwards, that the teacher took my virginity in such a place, and then took a video of it as a commemoration, which made me react even more. I almost screamed out of excitement. I only had one thought in my mind: do it. Then, how could I not be unwilling? Without even a second thought, I agreed with a trembling voice, "Teacher Lin, I do." What made me feel even more unbearable was that after seeing that I agreed, Lin Yue couldn't wait to take out her phone, and then smiled coquettishly at the camera and said to me, "Student Qin Shou, do you like the teacher? Do you miss that teacher?" This was already very exciting, but when she said that, it was just naked seduction. How could I stand it? It was too damn erotic. I now completely understand that Lin Yue is a bitch. Her current appearance is her true appearance. That is her true nature. Since this is her nature, I'm going to let her taste my power. I didn't want to waste a minute. I also pointed at the camera and said, "Teacher Lin, I like you, I want you, hurry up." Since Qin Shou wants to do that with the teacher so much, then come on. Lin Yue put her phone on the stall opposite where second-hand items were placed, adjusted the lens, and then hooked my chin with her finger and gave me a very coquettish look. Then she lay on the stairs, raised her butt, and wanted me to enter from behind. She really wanted to do that. This scene almost made my nose bleed. Her butt was so firm and my breathing became faster than ever before. Later, I will be able to have sex with our homeroom teacher Lin Yue, and I will also be able to finish my first time. This is a feat that many students want to accomplish. And I even filmed it. Could it be more enjoyable than this? Thinking of this, I got furious. Moreover, her current posture could almost kill me. I didn't want to wait any longer. I swallowed hard and yelled in my heart, "I'm going to end my first time." At that moment, I almost suffocated. At this moment, she was still breathing heavily, hooked her finger and said, "Qin Shou, please hurry up. Don't hesitate anymore." "Okay, I'll be quick." I was already almost unable to bear it, and after hearing what she said, how could I possibly bear it anymore? At that moment, I felt unprecedented excitement and really wanted to scream. I was about to have Lin Yue. Then come in quickly. Lin Yue tilted her butt upwards, asking me to come in. Even though I hadn't found the right place yet, I could tell she was about to be unable to bear it any longer. Chapter 15. Let me do it. Listening to her voice and the way she was sticking out, I couldn't bear it anymore. I didn't want to wait any longer. My blood was burning, as if I was crazy, and my expression became extremely exaggerated. At the same time, I also shouted excitedly. I shouted, "Teacher Lin, you wait. I am coming." Thump, thump, thump. However, just when I was about to scream, I heard footsteps coming up the stairs downstairs. I was scared to death when I heard this, and Lin Yue also trembled with fear. Someone was coming up the stairs. But at this moment, I can't stand it anymore. I'm not afraid of people coming. I just want to do what I want. Besides, didn't Lin Yue come here just for fun? If she was discovered, she would be so happy. Of course, the main reason is that I can't stand it anymore. Even if I can't surrender in the end, just let me go in and let me really have sex with a woman. But when I was about to take action, Lin Yue, who was so frightened, actually stood up immediately and put on her clothes. Obviously, although her true colors were exposed by me, she still appeared to be the pure and responsible head teacher. She cared about her reputation very much and didn't want anyone to see us here at all costs. She put on her clothes quickly and said to me in a low voice, "Let's do it on the rooftop." Hearing this, I was so disappointed that I immediately went up. But she was tough, and the footsteps of the people coming up didn't seem to stop, so it must be the neighbor on the 5th floor. If I didn't want to, I guess Lin Yue wouldn't be so desperate and unwilling to do that with me. Then, I gritted my teeth and followed Lin Yue to the rooftop. Besides, it's the same whether I go up or not. But when we hurriedly ran to the rooftop, we found that the footsteps did not stop at all, but went up to the rooftop. This scared us to death as we were just about to put down our phones here and then do something. We quickly hid behind a pile of sundries on the rooftop. Fuck, who the hell is coming to the rooftop in the middle of the night? Just as I was cursing, a man and a woman came up. After they came up, I saw them in the moonlight. I didn't know the man, and the woman turned out to be Arseong, a green tea bitch who lived on the same floor as me. From their conversation, I could tell that the two met in a bar, came here to make a date, and said they would do it here. It was exciting. At that moment, I was completely stunned. It turned out that it was not just Lin Yue and I who wanted to do something in this kind of place. This Arseong really lived up to her name of a green tea bitch. As soon as the two of them arrived, they started doing it passionately. The scene was quite exciting, and I, who was originally very angry because of the arrival of the newcomers, reacted again all of a sudden. Arseong's figure is really amazing. Looking at her makes my blood boil, especially the obscene words they said to each other, which was even more unbearable. The fire in my heart immediately rose. Looking at Lin Yue, who was disheveled, a little flustered and a little shy, hiding beside me, I could no longer bear it. At that time, I had only one thought: how comfortable would it be if I could watch Arseong and do that kind of thing with Lin Yue at the same time? Moreover, this is totally feasible. Doesn't Lin Yue want to feel comfortable? How comfortable would it be to do it under such circumstances? More importantly, Arseong has such a bad reputation. What will happen if she finds out? Who will believe what she says? Yes, it is absolutely feasible. When I thought of this, and looked at Lin Yue who was shrinking her body, and Arseong and the others who were doing it, I couldn't bear it anymore. I touched Lin Yue directly. I thought that for the sake of her face, she might not want to give me that directly, but if I touched her to her satisfaction, she would definitely be willing. The most important thing was that this place with junk was very small and our bodies were almost touching. I could feel everything on her body. Then, I pushed directly against Lin Yue's body. She was soft and it made me feel so good. Moreover, although she looked scared on the surface, she didn't resist at all, which made me even more excited. If that's the case, she would definitely be willing to do that here. Seeing that she didn't resist, I became bolder and I touched her body at will, while she let me do what I wanted. At the beginning, she was able to remain calm when I did this to her, but after I touched her more, her breathing became very rapid, and she even took the initiative to pull my hand and touch those places of her. Not to mention, at this moment, both of us were staring at Arseong and the man who were fighting, which made us feel especially comfortable. I could feel how much Lin Yue wanted to scream out, how much she wanted to scream out freely, but she was afraid that Arseong would find out, so she covered her mouth with her hands, fearing that she would scream out. The more she did this, the more vigorously I touched her and the harder I thrust. Especially when I thought that we might be discovered by our Xiong at any time, I felt extremely excited and couldn't help but increase the strength in my hands. However, this made Lin Yue a little bit unbearable. She couldn't help but screamed, "R." Although the sound was not loud, it was like a thunderclap in the quiet night, scaring the two people who were fighting outside and stopping their actions immediately. Our Xiong looked around, "Who's there?" As they spoke, the two men quickly pulled up their pants, and the man yelled at us, "Mad, come out here, who is it?" "Don't ask, just go and take a look." Our Xiong complained. "What are you yelling for?" "I'll go check it out right away." The man had a bad temper. He responded to our Xiong and then walked towards me cautiously. Seeing him walking towards us, Lin Yue gasped in fear, and I should have been scared too, but what I didn't expect was that I actually followed him slowly towards me. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. I couldn't stop the movements I had just done, and instead I used more and more strength. Lin Yue didn't dare to make a sound. She could only cover her mouth with both hands, trying not to scream. This feeling was like a plot in a Japanese movie. Two people who shouldn't be together had that kind of relationship and were about to be discovered. It was extremely exciting. However, before that person came over, I got so excited that I ejaculated all at once. This made me widen my eyes, blush, and feel so embarrassed. I never thought that I was so useless that I would just ejaculate like that. If Lin Yue found out about this, I would be so embarrassed. In order to prevent her from discovering anything, I continued to pretend to do that kind of action, and then stood out from the pile of debris. The main purpose of standing out was to prevent others from discovering that Lin Yue and I were here. I felt excited just now and kept doing that action, but now that I have ejaculated, my head has become clear. If I don't jump out, the man will definitely find out about the two of us. If he finds out, Lin Yue will become notorious, and then my threat will probably be useless. I don't want to lose the opportunity to make Lin Yue pay the price before I have done anything. Even though I might get beaten if I stand up, I'll accept it. My sudden appearance startled the man. "Who the hell are you? Do you want to die? How dare you peek at me while I'm doing something?" To be honest, I was quite scared, but I knew that if I showed that I was scared at this time, I would be beaten, so I took a deep breath and yelled at the man, "Who the hell are you? I was sleeping here, and you woke me up. Do you know that? Damn, you have a pretty bad temper. Come here and let's practice." The man was obviously not a good person. He was not afraid of me at all, and as he spoke, he clenched his fists and made a clattering sound. It seemed like he was a martial artist. I had never fought with anyone before, and seeing him like this, I felt intimidated and couldn't help but take a step back. Just when I thought I was going to be beaten, our Xiong came over, took out her cell phone, and took a picture of me. After seeing that it was me, she put her hand on the man's shoulder and said, "Brother Hui, this guy is my brother, don't bother with him, let's forget about it, and let's go back to their house and do it." "Your brother? Then I'll let him go today." The man also took out his cell phone, turned on the light, looked at me for a few times, then looked at me with disdain, and walked downstairs with his arm around our Xiong, but our Xiong pushed him away and said, "Brother Hui, go down first, I have something to say to my brother." The man didn't want to stay here any longer, pinched our Xiong's butt a few times, and went downstairs. Seeing him leave, I breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time I was confused. I had just peeked at what our Xiong and that guy were doing, so why did she still help me out? You have to know that we are close, let alone siblings. We have never even spoken to each other. I don't understand why she would help me. Although I was confused, I still hurried over to thank our Xiong. "Sister Xiong, thank you for helping me out. Thank me for this later. I have other things to do." Our Xiong licked her lips, blew a breath at me and said, "I need to be paid for helping others. When I want to pay you, you must thank me well. By the way, I also wrote down the fact that you peeked at me just now. Don't cheat me when I need you." I didn't peek," I retorted subconsciously. "Whether I peeked or not, your words don't count." Our Xiong turned her head, shook her finger at me, and then turned and walked out. When I wanted to argue again, she had disappeared from my sight. Listening to her tone, although I didn't know why she helped me, I could tell that her help was not in vain. As for how I could thank her, I didn't have the mind to think about it because Lin Yue was still here. I'm going to do it with her, there's nothing I haven't done yet. Thinking of this, my heart started to burn again. I swallowed and was just about to go back into the junk pile when Lin Yue stood up from the pile. Since she had been covering her mouth, she was extremely nervous and was now gasping for breath. I seemed to really want to hear her intense and heavy breathing, and I wanted to hug Lin Yue and have sex with her hard to vent the anger in my heart. Chapter 16, Addicted. Her behavior just now showed that she really wanted to do it, and she should cooperate with me. But before I walked over, Lin Yue walked over first, raised her hand and slapped me a few times. Qin Shou, you are a beast, what happened just now? You are still there. You made me scream, aren't you afraid that others will see the two of us? She was very angry right now. Even though she was a woman, a slap in anger still hurt a lot on the face. Lin Yue valued her reputation more than anything else. What I did just now almost got her discovered. It was indeed my fault, but being hit by her made me furious all of a sudden. Blame me? Why don't you blame yourself? If you didn't feel good, would you have screamed? You? Lin Yue was so choked by my words that she couldn't utter a word. Her chest heaved violently. She looked at me hatefully, but didn't know how to refute me. I'm leaving. Lin Yue glared at me for a long time, said this, turned around and was about to leave. I haven't done that thing yet, so how could I let her go? I stepped forward and blocked her. Teacher Lin, let's keep our promise. You haven't done that thing with me yet, so you can't leave. Otherwise. Don't threaten me, I don't want to do it with Kwai and Miao. Lin Yue shook her head and said to me with great disdain. Her words made my body freeze and my movement stopped in mid-air. You know, men have dignity and what they fear most is that women would say they are 3 seconds too fast. Could it be that I just ejaculated so quickly and she discovered it? But I clearly got it in my pants, how could she know? I didn't want to admit it, so I pretended not to understand and said, what do you mean by 3 seconds faster? I don't understand what you are saying. Now you have to accompany me. Don't pretend, you just ejaculated, I noticed it a long time ago. Lin Yue snorted and said, if you want to do it with me, you can't be quick in 3 seconds, it will take at least half an hour. This is my hard requirement. If you can't do it, you can take medicine. I wanted to quibble at first, but after thinking about it carefully, she is an old hand, and it is useless for me to deny it. I also feel that Lin Yue's true nature is really revealed. It takes more than half an hour. From this, it can be seen that she is definitely a woman with high needs. Although I just ejaculated, I still don't think that I am almost 3 seconds. I explained that I was too stimulated just now, so it is understandable that I exploded so easily. Let me try it, it will definitely not be faster than 3 seconds. Lin Yue was not willing to let me try it. She said she didn't believe what I said. She only believed what was happening in front of her. If you want her to believe it, then go get that kind of medicine. As long as it can last for half an hour, she doesn't mind me using medicine. Seeing her determined attitude, I had no choice but to tell her, wait here, I'll go downstairs to get the medicine. Then I quickly ran downstairs, went back to my room, and started searching quickly. I actually have a lot of sex products at home. These things are not mine, but my good friend Wei Suo's. He used to run an online store for these things, but he didn't do it anymore. He had no place to put the things, so he kept them with me. But things don't always go as planned. I searched through all the goods that Wei Suo kept with me, and found that he only kept the things for men and women, not the medicine that Lin Yue said. This made me dumbfounded, and then I quickly went downstairs to buy it on the street, but at that time, it was past 12 o'clock, and there was not even a ghost on the street, let alone a store selling that kind of medicine. I looked outside for half an hour and couldn't buy it. After a long wait, Lin Yue also lost her patience. When I went back, she had sent me a text message to tell me that she was sleepy and went back to sleep. If I wanted that, I had to bring the medicine back first. Seeing this, I jumped up. Doesn't this mean that I won't have sex with her? I've been holding it in for the whole night, and now I'm just giving up? And because she said I was 3 seconds faster. The more I think about it, the more upset and aggrieved I feel. The truth is, I'm going to rush to Lin Yue's house and rape her, so that she can see if I'm really 3 seconds faster. However, although I was very angry about the 3 seconds almost incident, I knew it was really 3 seconds almost. When she said that, I didn't dare to say anything. I could only tell her that I would buy the medicine and see her in the corridor tomorrow night. After returning home, I wasn't too depressed. After all, I could still have her tomorrow, and she really let me have sex with her. If our Xiong and that guy hadn't come, I would have been able to have sex with her. But when I thought about what had just happened in the corridor with Lin Yue, I couldn't bear it. I never thought that things would come to this between me and Lin Yue, my homeroom teacher. It also made me miss her more than ever. I used to fantasize about her like most of my classmates, but after enjoying her, I realized that her charm was much more than I imagined. It would be so exciting to have sex with her once, not to mention that she has so many tricks. I can't imagine how exciting it would be to give her my first time. That night, I was thinking about these things the whole time. I couldn't fall asleep. My mind was full of what I did with her. Of course, I don't know how many times I masturbated. I wanted to hold back, but I really couldn't help it. This also means that no matter what, I have to buy medicine. I have masturbated so many times and my body is very weak. In addition, I have no experience, so I will definitely not be able to last long. Not to mention Lin Yue's request, just based on my current physical condition after masturbating so many times, if I don't take medicine, let alone the half an hour required by Lin Yue, it will really be almost 3 seconds. The next day after school, I went to a nearby health product store and bought a pill. But that stuff was really expensive. The effective pill cost 35 yuan. Actually, my family is average, and my monthly living expenses are only a few hundred yuan. Last time, in order to catch a female thief, I bought a high-definition camera, which almost cost me all my money this month. Now I only have more than 70 yuan on my body. I bought the pill for 35 yuan, and I still have 40 left. I was also discriminated against by the owner of a health product store. There is no need to think about why he looked down on me. How old am I? I bought this medicine. How could he not look down on me? Seeing his contemptuous look, I felt insulted and angry, but I didn't blame the owner of the store. I blamed Lin Yue. Who made her so demanding? She had to wait half an hour. Didn't she know that I hadn't done that before? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I decided to make her pay the price when I got home that night. After I came out of the store, I looked at the pills in my hand and sent a text message to Lin Yue, saying, "I've already bought the pills. You have to wait for me in the corridor tonight." Chapter 17 Ignore Me. Lin Yue still ignored me and replied with a and then ignored me. The more she didn't want to pay attention to me, the more I wanted to conquer her, the more I wanted to make her show her true nature again. That would be so cool. Who could have imagined that this innocent head teacher in the past could be so coquettish in front of her students? Then, I walked around the street, spent $6 on a bowl of ramen, and went back to school. But when I returned to the classroom, I found that many people looked at me with strange eyes. In the past, because of TTS incident, they all followed Jiang Yao in calling me Brother TT, but in the past they always did so with a look of contempt. But this time, their faces were full of anticipation, as if they were waiting to see me make a fool of myself. As soon as I entered the classroom, I heard someone shouting to the class, "Qin Shou, you're back." Before I could react, Liu Chenghai, a gangster in our class, came towards the door with his men in a menacing manner. My first thought was that he was going to lead men to fight again, so I was about to make way to let them pass. But I didn't expect that after Liu Chenghai saw me, he took a step forward and grabbed my collar, and shouted at me with a strong sense of disdain and spit flying, "Sharbi, you are so brave, you dare to chase the woman I like." Liu Chenghai's sudden move made me a little stunned. When have I never chased after a woman he liked? Being dragged by him like this, I felt very unhappy, but Liu Chenghai was a scoundrel in the class. Although he was not the class leader, he had several younger brothers following him, and he was considered to have some influence in the class. I am now a joke in the class. I have no money, no power, and no teacher to protect me. I am the worst off. Even if I am very unhappy, I cannot show it. In order to avoid misunderstanding, I hurriedly explained, "Brother Hua, I have never pursued the woman you like." "Are you mistaken?" "Damn it, how could I be wrong? You're relying on the fact that you're in the same rank as Jiang Yao and think you can get the upper hand over her. Don't think I don't know. I can't believe a scum like you dares to chase Jiang Yao. Are you kidding me?" Liu Chenghai yelled at me again, spit flying. Jiang Yao. When I heard this name, I subconsciously looked towards Jiang Yao, only to see her looking at me with a gloating expression. When she saw me, she smiled at me and said, "Qin Shou, how can you be so timid? Are you only going to confess to me in private?" As soon as she said this, I understood everything. This must be Jiang Yao's doing. I didn't listen to her yesterday, and she holds a grudge against me. Now she is using Liu Chenghai to take revenge on me. This made me so angry that I gritted my teeth and my heart sank. I was doomed. Liu Chenghai had been pursuing Jiang Yao for a long time, but Jiang Yao was a flower maniac who liked handsome guys. She thought Liu Chenghai was not good looking, so she did not agree to him. Of course, she did not reject him either. She kept him hanging and used him as a tool. Damn it, you still don't admit it. You have the will but not the guts, damn it. Liu Chenghai's face turned completely cold when he heard Jiang Yao's shout. I really didn't pursue her. She was just talking nonsense. I hurriedly shook my head and explained. Oh, Qin Shou, didn't you say a lot of sweet words to me yesterday, saying how much you wanted to get me and how much you wanted to take my first time? Why don't you dare to admit it now? You even said I was talking nonsense. You disappoint me so much. Jiang Yao shook her head with a disappointed expression. I was also stunned when I heard that. She was too cheap to say such a thing. But before I could think about it, Liu Chenghai's angry voice reached my ears. Fuck, you dare to tell Jiang Yao that you want to have her first time? Who the hell are you? I must kill you today. After he finished speaking, he yelled and slapped me in the face. I didn't have time to break free, and the slap was about to hit me hard in the face, but just as it was about to hit me, Jiang Yao suddenly stopped. Liu Chenghai, stop. Let him go. Liu Chenghai listened to Jiang Yao very much. Without even asking any questions, he withdrew his hand and let me go. Jiang Yao's behavior surprised me very much. Could it be that she had a change of heart and didn't want to take revenge on me anymore? Liu Chenghai, go back to the class first. I have something to say to him. Jiang Yao walked straight up to us and spoke to Liu Chenghai in a commanding tone. Liu Chenghai was really useless. He listened to whatever Jiang Yao said as if it was an imperial decree. He smiled and agreed. Before leaving, he glared at me fiercely. I was more and more puzzled by what Jiang Yao did. What on earth was she trying to do? As I was guessing, Jiang Yao arrogantly pulled me out of the classroom and said sarcastically, Qin Shou, you are such a coward. Weren't you so awesome yesterday? Now I can give you a chance to avoid getting beaten. As long as you promise me that you will listen to me in the future, I will let Liu Chenghai let you go. How about that? Just now, she fabricated that I pursued her and wanted her virginity, and asked Liu Chenghai to beat me. I was already very angry. I never thought that she would use such an idea and said that I wanted her once. I even doubted whether she had a virginity. As a woman, how could she have the nerve to make up such a thing? How shameless. Moreover, although I am a small person and I am very afraid of being beaten, I still have a bottom line and a little bit of backbone. Her current behavior has touched my bottom line. I don't want to give in to her like this. I took a deep breath and said with backbone, Jiang Yao, your means are too despicable. I can't agree to you. Okay, you dare to say I'm mean, don't regret it. Jiang Yao was stunned at first, as if she didn't expect me to be so stubborn. Then, her face darkened. After saying, okay, 3 times, she knocked on the front door of the classroom and pouted at Liu Chenghai. Liu Chenghai, what should I do if Qin Shou says he loves me again? He also said that my first kiss, my first time, must be given to him. Fuck. Did this guy get a TT last time and think he's awesome on the table? He dares to think of anything. I'm going to kill him, the toad. Before he finished speaking, Liu Chenghai and a group of people ran out of the classroom cursing and pointing at me angrily, come here. To be honest, I was so stubborn just now, but when I saw Liu Chenghai coming out with his men, I regretted it. I felt like a fool for pretending to be stubborn, but there was no point in regretting it. The only way was to run away. As soon as I thought of this, I started running. Seeing this, they didn't stop. Liu Chenghai took the lead and chased after me. I grew up in the countryside and did a lot of physical work since I was a child, so I was physically strong and ran quite fast. Once I started running, they couldn't keep up with my speed at all. I pulled him further and further away, especially Liu Chenghai, who could hardly run anymore and was pulled further away. However, I never expected that Liu Chenghai knew quite a lot of people in school. As soon as I ran to the first floor, Liu Chenghai shouted to the nearby classes, "Stop that kid!" Chapter 17, Jiang Yao. As soon as I heard the sound, I felt my feet tripped by something. I couldn't control my body and fell to the ground. Just as I was about to get up and run, I found that Liu Qinghai's men had chased me and surrounded me. In addition to them, there was a boy from another class who was smiling at me with disdain. It was obvious that I was tripped by the person who was smiling at me, which made me extremely angry. I cursed all the beautiful women in this person's family and wanted to run away again, but was held tightly by Liu Qinghai's men. Then, Liu Qinghai yelled angrily, "I told you to run away, today I must kill you, you toad." After saying that, he kicked me. Although Liu Qinghai was doing well and I didn't dare to do anything to him, I was wronged by Jiang Yao. When I saw him hitting me, I was extremely angry and my first reaction was to hit him too. But there were too many people on his side. Before I could fight back, they rushed over and knocked me down in a few seconds. All of a sudden, people from our class and the surrounding classes gathered around. Liu Qinghai was already very angry because of Jiang Yao's trick, and it was Jiang Yao who asked him to beat him. He beat me as hard as he could. It hurt so much that I almost fainted. He kept cursing, "How dare a toad like me want to eat Jiang Yao's swan meat?" This was simply an insult to Jiang Yao. As he beat and scolded me like this, more and more people gathered around, and almost everyone pointed and talked, making me feel depressed and embarrassed, but Liu Qinghai and his men never got tired of it. I didn't feel so aggrieved in my heart. I had never been so angry, and never been so ashamed. What was even more terrifying was that while they were beating me, the medicine I bought actually fell out of my pocket, and Liu Qinghai happened to see it. It would have been fine if he hadn't seen it. As soon as he saw it, he immediately covered his stomach and laughed, "Fuck, TT brother, you are awesome, you even have this medicine." "Brother hi, this is just an ordinary medicine." I was almost scared to death when I saw this. Even though my body was in pain, I still told him quickly. If he knew that this was an aphrodisiac, I would be finished again, and he would definitely not give it to me. Then I would not be able to do it for Lin Yue again. This would simply ruin me. "Oh, just an ordinary medicine." Liu Qinghai frowned, as if he also thought it was an ordinary medicine. This made me feel relieved, but then he laughed even harder, and told everyone loudly in an extremely exaggerated and sarcastic tone, "Everyone listen carefully, our TT brother is holding aphrodisiacs. As for what aphrodisiacs are for, everyone already knows. Har har, this kid is impotent." After he said this, everyone burst into laughter. I will never forget the mockery in their eyes, and I completely lost face because of it. And because of this, I got a new nickname, Toad Impotence Brother. Although they stopped beating me because of the arrival of the head teacher, I was still covered in wounds and my medicine was taken away. Of course, the biggest shame was that I was humiliated. I was so upset that I almost died. I didn't provoke Liu Qinghai at all, but he treated me like this. Watching him walk away, I felt extremely unwilling, aggrieved, and angry. I really wanted to rush over, beat them up, snatch the medicine away, and return all the insults to me. But then I thought, forget it, if I go to snatch it, I will definitely be beaten. By then, not to mention that I can't snatch the medicine, and if I get beaten up again, it will be impossible for anything to happen between me and Lin Yue. Moreover, although Liu Qinghai robbed me of my money and medicine, it was abominable, but all of this was done by Jiang Yao. This vicious and hypocritical woman is the culprit. How could there be such a despicable woman? Thinking about what happened today, I was completely humiliated. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became, and the more I hated Jiang Yao. The more I hated her. I felt like I was going crazy, wanting her to pay a price that was higher than Lin Yue's. At most, Lin Yue took Wei Suo's things and made me suffer losses for nothing. Now, she still gives me the possibility to get her back. But what about Jiang Yao? This bitch is so abominable. I must take revenge on her. Make her pay the price. But how can I make her pay the price? She has a powerful brother, and there are scoundrels like Liu Qinghai who like her. I want her to pay the price, but it is really difficult. But when I was on the way back to the classroom and saw Lin Yue's office, an idea suddenly came to my mind, and a way to make Jiang Yao pay the same price emerged in my mind. Chapter 18 Pay back tenfold. Didn't Lin Yue bully me at the beginning? Wasn't it because I found something that could be used against her that I could make her pay? Didn't Jiang Yao have anything else to hold against her? I thought about it carefully and found that I didn't have any handle to hold against her, but I didn't give up. Even Lin Yue, a woman who everyone thought was very pure, would do that kind of thing, let alone this willful Jiang Yao. As long as I look for it patiently, I will definitely find it. After all, she and I are desk mates, so there are plenty of opportunities. I'm not doing well and I'm not good at fighting, but if I go looking for Jiang Yao's handle, maybe I can find something. As soon as I thought of this, my mood became much better. On the way back to the classroom, I thought more and more that this method was really feasible. As long as I put more effort into it, I don't believe that I can't find out something about Jiang Yao. After returning to the classroom, everyone looked at me as if they were laughing at me. I was used to this. After all, last time Lin Yue made TT's matter known to everyone. In their eyes, I had long been a joke. Not to mention what happened just now, I was even more of a joke. When Jiang Yao saw me, she was even more proud, with her head held high, as if I was inferior to her. After I sat on the chair, she gloated and said, "Are you okay? Does Liu Qinghai's beating hurt you? By the way, I didn't ask him to cause trouble for you, he wanted to beat you, and you know Liu Qinghai has a bad temper. Also, you actually brought aphrodisiacs to school, are you not capable? Or are you too disgusting?" Her words were full of ridicule and contempt. I really felt that she was extremely hateful. I really wanted to slap her to let her know how powerful I was. But I was not stupid. I already had a plan for revenge. There was no need to be so impulsive. The consequences of my current impulsiveness would be miserable. She would definitely find ways to beat me up and embarrass me even more. So, I suppressed my anger, ignored her, took out my math textbook, and started reading. Seeing that I ignored her, Jiang Yao snorted coldly and started to sneer at the side. She patted my shoulder and said, "You know what? I was really amused by your cowardly look just now. You can definitely go play that kind of coward on TV. The word coward is simply designed for you. And you are too funny. You even brought aphrodisiacs with you. Har 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 har. I can't believe you can be so wretched. Are you still human?" Jiang Yao's ridicule made me think of the scenes of being beaten, insulted, and the medicine being robbed. I felt ashamed and annoyed. My violent heart, which I had just suppressed for a while, instantly became furious again. If I hadn't tried my best to control myself, thinking that I had to find something to use against her because I was a bad person, I really couldn't help but slap her mocking face until it was swollen. I've never seen such a shameless woman. Although I didn't do anything, my whole body was shaking with anger. Jiang Yao saw this and seemed to like my feeling of being bullied and angry but not daring to do anything to her. She became even more sarcastic and mocked me. Her nickname changed from the impotence brother to the coward brother. Liu Qinghai also followed suit, making the whole class laugh. Everyone looked down on me. This really made me very angry, and I almost couldn't hold it back, but I tried to tell myself that a little impatience can ruin a big plan, and when I find something on her, I'll make her pay back tenfold. Just wait and see how I'll play with her then. Their ridicule continued until the afternoon English class. Lin Yue was very strict in class and no one dared to disobey her. As soon as she appeared, people in the class, including Jiang Yao, immediately stopped laughing and obediently took out their English textbooks and read English essays silently. But after I saw Lin Yue, the anger in my heart dissipated a lot, and instead I felt warm in my heart. I thought, you all are laughing at me, but I am the idiot who is being laughed at, and tonight I will be able to have sex with Lin Yue, who scares you. I am also a winner in life, okay. But after the excitement, I felt melancholy. The medicine was taken away by Liu Qinghai. Without the medicine, Lin Yue would not be willing to do that with me. The only way was to borrow money from Zhang Yunyan, who was a good friend of mine in class and whose family was very rich. So after class, I called Zhang Yunyan to the stairs, wanting to lend him 100 yuan for an emergency. I would return it to him when I got home on the weekend. But when he saw me, he acted very cautious. His eyes, which were squeezed to a slit due to obesity, looked around, as if he was afraid that others would see me and him together. I asked him, "Zhang Yunyan, what's wrong with you?" "No, nothing. I can't lend you the money." Zhang Yunyan looked around and said, "When you were not back in class just now, Liu Qinghai said in front of the whole class that no one is allowed to get close to you in the future. Anyone who gets close to you is against him. You also know that Liu Qinghai is not easy to mess with. If he knew that I lent you money, he would definitely make trouble for me." Before he finished speaking, several students from our class happened to pass by. When Zhang Yunyan saw them, he glared at them and ran away in fear. His speed was definitely inversely proportional to his weight. Looking at his back as he walked away, I felt a little unhappy, but I couldn't blame him. Although this guy was rich, he was notoriously timid in the class, otherwise he wouldn't have made friends with me. Now that Liu Chenghai had warned me, it would be strange if he wasn't afraid. This incident also made me hate Jiang Yao even more. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have been forced into this by Liu Chenghai. I will not let Liu Chenghai go either. Once I get the chance, I will take revenge on him. If Zhang Yunyan doesn't lend me money, then no one else will. How can I keep my appointment at night? This made me anxious and I greeted Jiang Yao and all the beautiful women in Liu Chenghai's family. Fortunately, when it was the last class, I thought of a way. I could just find a medicine and say it was that kind of medicine. Even if Lin Yue was an experienced person, she couldn't know all the medicines, right? Moreover, this medicine involved men's dignity. Men don't show it to women when they take it. Lin Yue might not understand it. Also, Lin Yue required me to do it for more than half an hour, otherwise she would not do anything with me. But whether I can really do it for half an hour or not, I have to wait until I'm done with her to know whether I can really do it for half an hour or not. How could she know when I started having sex with her? In other words, as long as I can find a medicine and fool her, she will have to accompany me obediently, at least for half an hour. I don't care. Anyway, by then I have done what I should do. What can she do to me? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but look at Lin Yue, who was sticking her butt out and writing English quickly on the blackboard. She was wearing a tight black professional suit today, which tightly wrapped her body, making her look particularly plump. Especially her buttocks, when she stuck her butt out, it was so exaggerated that just by looking at it, I had a strong desire to go up and slap it. I thought to myself, when I have sex with her tonight, I must slap her buttocks and feel the touch. It wasn't just me. I turned my head to look at the other boys. Most of them were not paying attention to the class. Their eyes were focused on Lin Yue's butt, especially Liu Chenghai. He clearly said that he liked Jiang Yao, but now he was looking at Lin Yue so much that his saliva was almost flowing out. From this we can see that all the boys in the class have that kind of idea about Lin Yue, and they all regard her as the goddess of their dreams. Then Liu Chenghai saw that I was also looking at Lin Yue, and pointed at me wildly and made a slapping gesture, which meant that I couldn't look at Lin Yue, otherwise he would beat me. Except for Liu Chenghai, the few people who followed him all followed suit to flatter him and did the same thing to me. Seeing them threatening me like this, I wasn't angry at all. Instead, I found it funny. You guys, just wait and see. I will be able to get your dream lover tonight. No matter what gestures you make, it will be useless. After I looked away, I saw that Jiang Yao seemed to have an unfinished box of vitamin C in her cave. Seeing this, I became excited. I could use this thing to pretend it was an aphrodisiac. Although vitamin C has nothing to do with aphrodisiacs, its shape is similar to the aphrodisiacs sold in pharmacies. The only difference is the color. Vitamins are mostly yellow, while aphrodisiacs are blue. It is difficult for some people who don't know much about it to distinguish them. By then, Lin Yue should be fooled. Then, I asked Jiang Yao if she could give me some vitamin C pills. I said that my body was in pain and asked if she could give me some. When Jiang Yao heard what I said, she laughed contemptuously and said that I still had pain in my body and needed vitamin C. I had never seen a fool like you, but I will give you a few pills because you are so stupid. After that, she gave me 2 pills like a princess giving arms. I looked extremely unhappy, but I thought to myself, let you laugh at me, I will use what you gave me to have sex with your beloved teacher Lin later. After getting it in my hand, I tore a piece of white paper, wrapped the medicine in it, and used it as that kind of medicine. After doing all this, Lin Yue asked everyone to read the text silently. Then she left the classroom with her cell phone. I didn't know if she was making a phone call or doing something else. I was watching here, and I received a text message on my phone. I opened it and saw that it was from Lin Yue. She told me that the corridor was too dangerous. If I wanted to do it with her at night, I should wait until the 3rd period of evening self-study and go to her office to do it. I frowned. Going to her office? Isn't that more dangerous? It's easier to be discovered. Her decision was really not in line with her style of being afraid of being known. However, I changed my mind and realized that Lin Yue just likes excitement. She wanted to do it in the stairwell last time. So, wouldn't it be even more exciting if she did it to her students in her teacher's office? This woman is really cheap. Who could have imagined that the innocent teacher Lin would actually ask me, a toad impotent and cowardly guy who is ridiculed by others, to do that kind of thing in the office, har har. And I wasn't worried about other people seeing what we were doing. The more exciting the places we played in, the more I liked it. I didn't delay and replied to her text message immediately, saying okay. Evening self-study in our school is not mandatory. Anyone who wants to attend can attend. People who are not good at studying basically don't stay to attend. Only those who are good at studying can attend, such as Jiang Yao. Although she is too domineering and narrow-minded, she is really good at studying and has always been in the top 2 in the class. During evening self-study, Jiang Yao looked at me with surprise when she saw that I didn't leave. I thought she would make sarcastic remarks to me, but I didn't expect that she actually looked at me with a smile on her face. She smiled at me, but it was more like she was yelling at me, which made me feel uneasy. I didn't know what tricks she was trying to play next. In order to prevent her from doing anything bad to me, I shrank back. Hee, don't be afraid. We are desk mates. Jiang Yao stretched out her little hand and pulled me, saying, I need your help with something. As long as you help me, all our grudges will be wiped out. Really? Then what do you want me to do? I frowned and asked cautiously. You have to know that Jiang Yao is very petty. She is willing to let me do something to seduce me, which is definitely not a small matter. Although I want to take revenge on her, I can't find any evidence against her right now. Revenge is not something that can be achieved overnight. The best way now is to make peace with her on the surface. This way, I can find an opportunity behind her back. Find evidence against her. It's not that I'm insidious and vicious, it's just that my status is too low and I have no choice but to do it. Hey, we're desk mates, can you please stop being so vigilant? Jiang Yao complained, can't desk mates have a little more trust? I was a little speechless. I don't want to be alert. If you didn't mock me every day and let others cause trouble for me, would I be so alert to you? Well, I trust you, so tell me what you want me to do. I asked, trying to force a smile. It's simple. Just turn your ear towards me and I'll tell you. Jiang Yao looked around and saw that the people who were attending evening self-study classes were gathered in the middle. Then she cautiously hooked her finger at me. Seeing how cautious she was, I felt very nervous. I didn't know what she wanted me to do, but for the sake of my own plan, I still turned my ear away. Jiang Yao smiled with satisfaction, then came over, covered my ears with her hands, and whispered, hee, Qin Shou, it's nothing. I heard that you have a lot of those things at home. Tomorrow, bring me some adult products, for women, the bigger the better. Chapter 19 Like a Hungry Wolf. What? Women. Supplies, the bigger the better. She said this with a smile, and I was so surprised that I couldn't close my mouth. I really couldn't imagine that Jiang Yao actually asked me to give her that thing. The degree of surprise is comparable to that of when I found out that Lin Yue was having an affair. After all, although Jiang Yao has a bad temper, is narrow-minded, and likes to bully me, she has been pursued by many people. Whenever someone wrote a love letter to her, she would throw it directly into the trash can. I thought she was very pure. Now it seems that she is the same kind of person as Lin Yue. Are all beautiful women like this nowadays? They pretend to be pure on the surface, but they are full of desires and extremely dirty behind the scenes. According to Lin Yue and her, it is indeed the case. I was very surprised at first, but after the surprise, I became secretly excited. Didn't I want to find something to hold against her? Now she has brought it to me. If she wants this thing, doesn't that mean she appears pure on the surface but is a slut behind the scenes? If I bring that thing over tomorrow and give it to her, I will use it to threaten her. If you don't listen to me, then I will tell everyone that you took this thing. Har, I can definitely deal with her this way. If it was effective against Lin Yue, then how could it be effective against a female student like her? No matter how rude she was, it would be strange if she didn't lose face after doing something like this. Thinking of this, I was so excited, thinking that she must think I was easy to bully and didn't want to spend money to buy it, so she let me take it. It was really making the best use of it. However, this just gave her a handle to underestimate me. Just wait for me tomorrow. Then, I agreed to Jiang Yao's request. Seeing that I agreed, she was very satisfied. She even extended her little finger and gave me a pinky sign, saying that it was settled. I sneered in my heart and said, okay. I'll get it tomorrow. After saying this, Jiang Yao's attitude towards me was not so bad anymore. During the evening self-study, she even explained a question to me on a whim. I was not in the mood to think about it, because the third period of the evening self-study was about to start. When the bell rang, I could go to the office to find Lin Yue. Ring, ring, ring. As the bell for the third evening self-study class rang, I became nervous and excited. Without hesitation, I took the medicine I had prepared and went straight to Lin Yue's office. Of course, before leaving, I took a look at those who were sitting in the classroom studying but looked at me with sneer on their faces, especially Jiang Yao and those hooligans in the class who stayed behind to flirt with girls. I sneered in my heart, "You look down on me, I'm going to sleep with your beloved teacher Lin Yue right now." When I arrived, I found the office was pitch black and the lights were off. I was wondering whether Lin Yue was in the office or not, when I saw the office door was pushed open. Lin Yue came out, and when she saw me, she waved at me, meaning that I should go in quickly. I swallowed nervously and immediately followed her into the office. As soon as we entered, Lin Yue quickly plugged the door and locked it. Although it was a little dark in the office, the street lights outside still projected a lot of light in, so I could see more clearly. Lin Yue was with her back to me, leaning down, locking the door. Looking at her raised buttocks, my heart immediately became hot. I hugged her from the back, and my left hand fell on the buttocks that I had coveted for a long time. Feeling the elasticity of that butt and the softness of her body, I couldn't help but react. My other hand began to slowly extend upwards, ready to climb her two peaks. "Wait a minute, don't touch me yet." Lin Yue turned around and pushed me away, lowering her voice and saying, "Not in front of the door, or someone will find out." "Where is it?" I said somewhat unbearably. "At my desk." Lin Yue pointed to her desk and said. Her desk was the most common box-type office desk, with 3 sides closed and only one side for workers to enter and exit. There was a lot of space under the desk for books and computers. The two of us hid under the desk and it really had a concealed effect. In order to be able to do that with her quickly, I listened to everything she said and hid obediently under her desk. Lin Yue was still very cautious, probably because she was afraid that others would hear her. She didn't even wear high heels. When she saw me hide past her, she checked the door again and made sure it was locked. Then she hid under the desk like me. As soon as she squatted down, a special fragrance belonging to her came to my face. I was fascinated by it. Then I thought, this is an office, and I was doing things that I shouldn't do with a teacher who looked pure and beautiful. I felt like my whole body was on fire. I turned over, pressed on Lin Yue, aimed at her flaming lips, and started kissing her. Even though she had promised me and even showed her true self last night, she was still acting disgusted towards me. Even though the light in the room wasn't bright enough, I could still see it clearly. Originally, I had no grudge against her. If she hadn't embarrassed me in class, run to my house, stolen my things, and had naked sex in my house, how could I have treated her like this? After all, it's all her own fault. The more she hates me and disgusts me, the angrier I get. The more I want her to pay the price. So I hugged her tightly and kissed her madly and roughly, and my hands kept touching the forbidden areas on her body. Don't look at Lin Yue. Her expression just now was full of disgust. After I touched her, her face began to turn red. The original expression of disgust gradually faded, and was replaced by a look of enjoyment. Even in the dim office, I could see it clearly. After a while, she couldn't help but moaning, hum. From this sound, I could clearly hear that she was satisfied, and I couldn't stand it any longer. I didn't want to repeat yesterday's mistake and was afraid of being disturbed, so I took off my own clothes while starting to take off her professional suit, wanting to get the job done quickly. Lin Yue felt me taking off her clothes again, but she did not resist. Instead, she started to take off her clothes and soon took off her top. After taking off her top, although she was still wearing a white shirt underneath, her breasts looked even more proud and firm. This stimulated my whole body, and I lowered my head and kissed her. However, at this moment, Lin Yue seemed to have suddenly thought of something, and pushed me away, lowering her voice and saying, "Wait a minute, I haven't turned on my phone to record yet. Do we have to record it again?" I was speechless, thinking that Lin Yue's habit was too serious. Did we have to record it? However, I found it quite exciting. In order to get what I wanted immediately, I nodded and said, "Okay, take out your phone quickly." Lin Yue quickly took out her cell phone, turned on the night vision function, and started recording directly. When I saw her take it out, I pounced on her again, wanting to continue with her, but she said wait a minute, she would set up the camera first. At this point, I had to listen to her even if I didn't want to. I had no choice but to be patient and watch from the side. She had already made preparations. She had put a few books under the desk and placed the phone on it so that her line of sight was just right to record both of us. Seeing that all these were done, Lin Yue lay on the ground and slowly began to take off her clothes, which meant that she was going to do that to me, and she was proactive. Seeing her like this, with the video being recorded, although I was a little nervous, I felt more thrilled and excited. Like a hungry wolf, he pounced on it. Chapter 20. What are you doing? She didn't resist and let me nibble and touch her. When I was about to move a little harder, Lin Yue asked me, "Qin Shou, where's the medicine? Take it out quickly. I want you to hold on for at least half an hour." Her question startled me. I was so excited that my mood dropped instantly. Although I had the medicine, it was fake. I was afraid that she would find out. I thought she had forgotten about the medicine. When she asked me this, I felt really uneasy. I said unnaturally, "I have the medicine. It's in my pocket. I'll take it right away." "Stop taking it for a while. Give me the medicine first so I can take a look." Lin Yue stretched out her hand and asked. "I'll be fine after taking this medicine, no need to look at it." I responded with a dry laugh. "No, I must ensure that you can hold on for more than half an hour. If it's bad medicine, it will absolutely not work." Lin Yue shook her head and said firmly. Her words made my heart tighten, and I asked her tentatively, "The medicine I bought is definitely good, more than $100 a pill, but there are so many medicines, how can you tell them apart? You must not mistake good medicine for bad medicine. You don't need to worry about this. I know a lot about medicine. Just give me the medicine and I'll know it at a glance." Lin Yue's voice was firm again. Lin Yue's words made me hesitate. If I gave her the medicine, what if she found out? Would she still be willing to do that with me? "What are you doing? Hurry up and show me the medicine. Otherwise, I won't do that with you." Lin Yue was a little impatient. I looked at her impatient expression and felt so conflicted. If I didn't give it to her, she wouldn't let me do it. If I gave it to her, she might find out. After a struggle in my heart, I gritted my teeth and took out the medicine. I wanted to take a gamble. I just don't believe it. How could Lin Yue, a teacher, know all the medicines? "Here." I took out the vitamin C wrapped in white paper from my pocket and handed it to Lin Yue. After Lin Yue took it and saw the white paper wrapping it, her brows furrowed. Then she opened the note, took out her cell phone, and looked at the pill carefully. Looking at her expression, it seemed possible that she really knew a lot about this medicine. This made me terrified, and I thought to myself, I must not see any sign of it. I must not see any sign of it. Lin Yue looked at it very carefully, and she only stopped after she looked at it many times. I swallowed and looked at her with a timid heart. She didn't seem to be as knowledgeable as I thought, or maybe she didn't understand these things at all. She said she wanted to check the medicine just to scare me. "Is the medicine really effective?" I asked her courageously. "Yes, that's right." Lin Yue nodded. This made me breathe a sigh of relief. It seems that Lin Yue really doesn't know anything about the medicine. She probably only knows the shape of the medicine. Although Lin Yue looks disgusted with me, after she confirmed that the medicine is real, she began to show her true nature. She began to ask for it actively. She blew a breath towards my face, then stretched out her delicate hand and stuffed the vitamin C pill into my mouth. Then she pulled me up and said that the space here was too small, so she wanted to do it on Jiang Rong's desk. Her initiative made my heart burn with desire, but at the same time I was afraid that if I didn't take the medicine now, it would be terrible if she found out. I didn't want to wait any longer and just swallowed the medicine in one gulp. As for her now talking about going to Jiang Rong to do it, I think she may have regained her desire and returned to her nature. She is not worried about being seen by others and may even enjoy the thrill of being seen by others. And I also felt very comfortable doing it on Jiang Rong's desk. I could have sex with them both at once. Then, we didn't waste any time. After we got up from the desk, we walked to Jiang Rong's desk. Lin Yue lay on Jiang Rong's desk, licked her tongue, hooked her finger at me and said, "Why don't you come? Let me taste how good you are." I really felt that she was extremely naughty, and was even more afraid of being disturbed suddenly, so without any hesitation, I pounced on her like a hungry wolf and very savagely. Then, I began to bite her wildly, and my hands began to take off her clothes non-stop. Lin Yue was even angrier than me. She kept saying things like, "Hurry up and get her." This made me think that she was not a good person. I didn't want to be gentle with her at all and became even more brutal. Maybe I was too aggressive. Accidentally, he knocked over everything on Jiang Rong's desk and dropped it to the ground. He even heard a box of medicine fall to the ground and scatter all over the floor. At that moment, my mind was full of thoughts about getting rid of her as soon as possible to avoid any more trouble, so I pretended not to hear anything. However, Lin Yue stopped and said that she was looking to see if something had fallen. She was afraid that she had broken something and Jiang Rong would find out tomorrow. Seeing her stop, I was so anxious, but I also felt that she was right, so I let her go. Then she opened her mobile phone and started to look down. I also looked over, but when I saw it, I was dumbfounded. In addition to a few textbooks, there was actually a box of vitamin C scattered all over the floor. This instantly made me feel like I was going crazy. How could it be such a coincidence that Jiang Rong also had a box of vitamin C, and we knocked it over? If Lin Yue saw this, we would be doomed. I immediately went to pull Lin Yue and stopped her from seeing it. But she saw it earlier than me. When she saw the vitamin C scattered on the ground, her brows frowned, she pushed me away, squatted on the ground, and looked at it carefully. I was watching from the sidelines, terrified, thinking it was too late. I couldn't help but look at her expression, and I saw that she actually had a smile on her face. Didn't she see it? But the next moment, her smile disappeared. She straightened her clothes and said to me angrily, "Qin Shou, can you explain to me, what is the difference between these vitamin C dropped on the ground and the medicine you just took?" Of course there is a difference. Mine is an aphrodisiac, and the one on the ground is vitamin C. They just look similar in shape. Don't think too much. Let's finish it quickly and do what we should do. Faced with her question, my heart sank. Fortunately, in the dark, Lin Yue couldn't see my expression. She was stunned for a while, then she argued. "Qin Shou, are you insulting my intelligence? Smell the smell on my hand, it's exactly the same as the so-called medicine you just gave me." Lin Yue asked back coldly. "It tastes the same, that's not normal." I argued again. However, Lin Yue didn't trust me at all. She started scolding me, "I don't understand. What's wrong with you going to buy some medicine? How could you use this kind of medicine to cheat me? Are you crazy?" This was the same tone she used when she scolded me in class in the past. This makes me very unhappy. Since she no longer believed me, it was useless for me to say anything. I couldn't tell her that it was taken away by Liu Chenghai. It was really embarrassing. So I lowered my head and said, "I'm still a student. I'm embarrassed to buy it, so." "Har har, are you still embarrassed? Since you don't even want to buy the medicine, then forget it. I'm willing to accompany you, but you just didn't keep your promise. You have to delete all the videos now." Lin Yue put on the clothes that I took off and said in a commanding tone. Her words made me even more upset. Why? I haven't done anything yet, how could I be willing to let her leave? It's not up to you to decide whether to delete that thing or not. I won't delete the video before I do that with you. If you don't want to do that with me, I'm sorry, I can only make it public. My attitude also became tougher. Seeing that I was getting tough, Lin Yue was not willing to be outdone. She stared at me with sharp and angry eyes, as if she was lecturing a student in class. I had nothing to be afraid of, so I looked into her eyes and glared at her. This was a game and no one could give in. Whoever gives in loses. Okay. I'll do it with you again, but you have to buy the medicine. After looking at me for less than a minute, Lin Yue chose to give up. After all, I had the video in my hand and I took the initiative. When I heard about buying medicine, I got a headache. Today is only Thursday, and our school has only had a holiday for 2 consecutive weeks. I can't go home in the near future. All my money was taken away by Liu Chenghai. Let alone buying medicine, even eating has become a problem. Seeing my expression, Lin Yue guessed something. She looked at me with contempt and said, "Don't you have money to buy medicine?" I was embarrassed. I really had no money and I didn't know where to start. I could only nod my head. TSK. Lin Yue glared at me for a few seconds and said, "I can give you the money from selling the medicine. You must buy the medicine. If you dare to cheat me with fake medicine again, there will be no hope for this." Also, I can't accompany you tomorrow. I have to accompany my mother these nights. Let's wait until next Tuesday." As she said that, she took out a red Mao Zedong note from her wallet and threw it on the desk. After glaring at me again, she took her bag and left angrily. I was already furious and didn't want to let her leave just like that, but when I thought about it carefully, she valued the medicine so much, and if I tried to be tough, it would only backfire, and in the end I would end up with a desperate situation, and I would get nothing. However, she said next Tuesday, which made me feel that she might be fooling me again. But thinking carefully, she looked so coquettish just now, I guess she would want to do it with me even if I didn't go to her. The reason why she was so tough just now was nothing more than wanting to have a good time. Although I was unwilling, I still waited for her to leave, came out of the office, returned to the classroom and started my self-study class. Jiang Yao, this person, now needs a favor from me, and her attitude towards me was very good. Not only did she not ask me where I had been, she even gave me a few vitamin C pills, saying that they were to replenish my body. After school, Jiang Yao specifically asked me to bring her the things she wanted. On the surface, I agreed to her obediently, but in my heart I was sneering. "I will definitely bring you, and then you'll be screwed. I will kill you." Chapter 21 The most beautiful existence in my heart. Jiang Yao seemed to still not believe me. After I got home, she contacted me on QQ again and told me to bring her the largest size tomorrow. Remember, it must be a large size. Medium sizes are not acceptable. "Okay, I'll definitely bring you the largest size tomorrow." I looked at Jiang Yao's instructions, and immediately recovered her, then burst into laughter. "Har har, a large size, right. As long as you need it, I'll get you a larger size." This woman is really a bitch to a certain extent. Now she's playing with this kind of thing, so she must have been done by a man a long time ago. If this gets out, will she be affected worse than Lin Yue? Also, she asked me to take it verbally before, but now she sent it to me via QQ, so I have evidence. In order to prevent her from withdrawing it, I immediately took screenshots. Even if others don't believe me, they have to believe these screenshots, right? Jiang Yao didn't seem to be on guard against me. After she said this, she told me to take a few photos right away so that she could choose. In order to collect more evidence, I excitedly did as she said and took photos of all the women's products we have for Jiang Yao to see. Jiang Yao really had a great demand. She picked the largest and most powerful one and said that she wanted it. She asked me to take it back tomorrow and she would pay me according to the market price. Then she chatted with me like a good friend until after 12 o'clock, and then she was willing to go offline. When I saw her profile picture turned black, I immediately took screenshots of all the conversations. For extra protection, I saved all the screenshots in my mailbox. I stopped and lay on the bed thinking that not only would I be able to do things that I shouldn't do with Lin Yue tomorrow, but I would also be able to make Jiang Yao, who bullied me every day and hated me so much, suffer and pay the price. I would have fun with her. I was so excited that I didn't fall asleep until after 3 o'clock. I woke up groggily at around 7 o'clock the next day. When I arrived at the classroom, it was already morning reading class. Lin Yue was sitting on the podium. There were also other people who were late, but she pretended not to see them and let them in directly. When she saw me, she started to scold me, intending to take this opportunity to retaliate against me. She scolded me for more than 10 minutes before letting me go back to my seat. I didn't react to this at all. I just wrote down every word she said. I would return it all to her when I had sex with her. However, she kept her word and transferred the remaining money to my Alipay account before I came to school. I was relieved and a little excited when I saw the money arrive. This way, I had money to compensate Wei Suo. Because of this, I also had the opportunity to sleep with Lin Yue, har har. Besides, I brought something for Jiang Yao, so let me take revenge on her today. Things turned out to be exactly as I imagined. As soon as I sat down, Jiang Yao came over with an expectant look on her face. "Qin Shou, did you bring that thing?" "Jiang Yao, what are you talking about? If you ask me to bring it, then I will definitely bring it." I also smiled at her. Jiang Yao was very excited when she heard this. She quickly took out 2 big red bills from her pink KT Kat wallet and handed them to me. "Qin Shou, this is money, take it." I didn't intend to give this thing away for free, so I naturally took the money. I took the thing for her because I thought that after giving it to her, I would have caught her with my hand. So after taking the money, I excitedly took out the thing and gave it to her. This way I can take revenge on this bitch. But just when I was about to take it out and hand it to her, she actually blocked me with her hand and said, "This thing is not what I want, I just want you to do me a favor. As long as you do me this favor, I can double your money." The conditions she said were quite tempting, but my heart sank when I heard them. Wasn't she saying that these things were not for her to use? How could I threaten her? How could I hold her accountable? Damn it. At this moment, my plan was disrupted. I don't know why, but a bad feeling suddenly rose in my heart. I think Jiang Yao must have done something bad. Jiang Yao seemed to think that I disagreed with my reaction, so she raised the stakes and said temptingly, "Qin Shou, if you agree to help me, I promise that no one in the class will bully you in the future, including me. First, tell me what you want me to do for you." If she had said these words just now, I might have believed them a little, but now that she said them, I felt something was wrong. Besides, it was she who started the bullying of the whole class, so how could she not bully me again? There is obviously something wrong with this bargaining chip. It's nothing, actually. I just asked you to sneak back to the classroom during the physical education class and put this thing in someone's desk. After the class, you can say that you can't find your thing, and we will catch you red-handed. Jiang Yao said with a giggle. Jiang Yao smiled harmlessly, but what she said made my heart skip a beat. Sure enough, she had no good intentions. Her words were very clear. She wanted to frame someone in the class and accuse her of stealing my things. Moreover, stealing something like this would not only make people think that person a thief, but also ruin her reputation. Although this era is very open, we are still students, and female students still care about their reputation. If we are found stealing this thing, the term slut will be applied to us. Jiang Yao simply wants to ruin people. This bitch is so bad. Then who is this person? I immediately asked with a frown. It's her. Jiang Yao once again showed a harmless smile on her pretty face and pointed at a girl sitting at the front of the class. When I looked in the direction she pointed and saw who she was pointing at, my anger suddenly exploded and I clenched my fists tightly. I suddenly yelled at Jiang Yao, "No, don't even think about it." During the student days, everyone has someone hidden deep in their heart, and I am no exception. The person that Jiang Yao asked me to frame is the person hidden in my heart. Her name is Chu Meng. Although she is not as eye-catching as Jiang Yao with her delicate facial features and fashionable clothes, her temperament is her advantage, giving people a feeling of quietness and purity. No matter what she wears, she always looks so independent and alone. From the first time I saw her when I entered school, her shadow was deeply imprinted in my heart. She has good grades and is always in the top 2 of the class with Jiang Yao. However, she is not as arrogant as Jiang Yao. She is very modest, gentle and kind. She is the only one in the class who doesn't look at me with tinted glasses. She often spares no effort to help me with my studies. She is like a bright light that illuminates my school days. I didn't dare to desire what could happen between her and me. I knew very well how outstanding she was. She was like an unattainable angel, while I was at the bottom of the class. I didn't even have the courage to dream about what could happen between her and me. Although I am a very vulgar person with that kind of thoughts in my head, I have never thought anything about her. In my heart, she is an absolute goddess, sacred and inviolable, and someone who must not be desecrated. Now Jiang Yao wants to frame her through me, and I'm totally unwilling to do that. Jiang Yao wanted to frame her, and I knew why, because Chu Meng and Jiang Yao had always been the best students in the class, and they were also the 2 most popular people. Jiang Yao was arrogant and narrow-minded by nature, and she couldn't stand others being treated like a star like her. From the very beginning, he had been trying to make things difficult for Chu Meng, trying to draw everyone's attention to her. In the past, I only spoke ill of Chu Meng behind her back and reported her to the teacher, but I never thought that Jiang Yao would be so vicious and actually framed Chu Meng and ruined her reputation. When Jiang Yao heard me say forget it, she laughed out loud. "Oh, it seems that a loser like you also likes this slut Chu Meng, you are so shameless. However, the more you like it, the more I will let you do it. What I like most is that you make life difficult for me. You are in physical education class now, go and do this for me. If you don't want to, I will let Liu Chenhai beat you every day. See if you are willing or not." Jiang Yao's threat made me even more angry. In the past, I had always tolerated her ridicule and threats, but this matter with Chu Meng had crossed my bottom line. It was like a fuse that triggered my long-accumulated anger and made it explode. I don't want her to continue threatening me like this. No matter how cowardly I am, I will never let her manipulate me as she pleases, let alone let her frame Chu Meng. Even if I am beaten to death by Liu Changhai, I have to stop this. I looked forward and saw Chu Meng, who was reading a book seriously. She was still so quiet and pure. I really didn't want her to be framed by Jiang Yao. What I don't want to do is be threatened by Jiang Yao every day and become her tool for fun. I gritted my teeth and made up my mind immediately. I ignored Jiang Yao's threats and stood up with the feminine products in my hand. I shouted at Lin Yue on the podium at the loudest voice in my life, "Report to the teacher." My voice was very loud and the whole class could hear it clearly. Everyone put down their textbooks and looked at me, including Chu Meng. But she was different from others. When others looked at me, they showed a look of ridicule and contempt, because they regarded me as a joke, but she looked at me with tender eyes, without a trace of contempt in her eyes. This made me very excited and made me more determined to do what I wanted to do. Even though Lin Yue was afraid that others would know that I had something going on with her, she didn't just look in my direction. At first, she seemed to think that I was going to expose her affairs. She was a little panicked. After a while, she put on her teacher's appearance, frowned, pushed her black-framed glasses and asked me, "Student Qin Shou, what do you want to do?" "Teacher." I was about to speak when Jiang Yao grabbed me. She saw what I was holding and seemed to realize something. She immediately threatened me again in a low voice, "Qin Shou, you coward, I don't know what you want to do, but it's definitely not a good thing. Sit down, otherwise, you know the consequences." Her threats are very serious to me, but I don't want to be threatened by her anymore. I also don't want to see Chu Meng framed by her. In my eyes, she is inviolable, not me. And no one else can do that. I pulled Jiang Yao's hand away, picked up the feminine product, and showed it clearly to everyone in the class. When others saw this, they started laughing again and mocking him, especially the girls sitting in the front row. This funny guy is here again, doing this kind of thing again. It makes me laugh to death. He lives up to his name, a real beast. He made these things again, so disgusting. It really proves the saying that ugly people are more likely to do weird things. It's really har. Har, now that you mention it, he doesn't look that good. He's nowhere near our Korean opera. That's it. Listening to the women in the class mocking me one after another, I became even angrier. What a bunch of idiots. Opera Nima. I really wanted to turn around and scold them, but I knew that what I wanted to do was to make Jiang Yao lose face and prevent her from framing Chu Meng. No matter how serious the consequences are afterwards. I gritted my teeth, held up the feminine product, and said word by word, "Teacher, I want to report to you that Jiang Yao wants to use this product to frame Chu Meng." Chapter 22. She is speaking for me. As soon as I said this, everyone was shocked. The most shocked among them was Chu Meng. Her pretty face was full of surprise. Jiang Yao was also very surprised. Although she had thought that I would do something bad to her, she never thought that I would say it directly. "Qin Shou, you are talking nonsense. How could I do such a thing?" Jiang Yao was immediately furious after a brief surprise. In addition to her, some people who liked Jiang Yao, led by Liu Changhai, also immediately refused to do it. They pointed at me and cursed, "Xiaobai, you want to die? How dare you frame Jiang Yao?" While cursing, they came over and wanted to teach me a lesson. Go back. Lin Yue was also very surprised. When she saw me being beaten by Jiang Yao, she smiled with some gloating. She didn't want to intervene, but when she saw Liu Changhai and others were coming to trouble me, she stood up. Although she seemed to want to see me being beaten, she was a teacher after all, and couldn't let her students do whatever they wanted. Liu Changhai and the others wanted to come over and beat me, simply to please Jiang Yao, but facing Lin Yue, they still obediently returned to their seats. However, after returning, Liu Changhai glared at me coldly and made a gesture of wiping his neck, which meant that I was finished. To be honest, I was really scared when I saw him doing this. Liu Changhai is not someone I can afford to offend, but I really don't want Chu Meng to be harmed by them like this. I gritted my teeth and tried to calm myself down. "Qin Shou, Jiang Yao is a good girl, how could she do such a thing? Don't talk nonsense." Lin Yue walked up to Jiang Yao and me in high heels and started questioning. Although Jiang Yao is arrogant, she only keeps it to herself in private. In the eyes of the teacher, she is a good student. I am not surprised by what Lin Yue said. After a sneer, I sent the screenshots of the chat on my phone to the class group. Although these screenshots cannot directly prove that Jiang Yao framed Chumeng, they at least let people know that she forced me to bring these women's products. Even if Lin Yue didn't believe me, Jiang Yao's plan would have been ruined. This would also serve as a reminder to Chumeng to be more cautious. The consequence of my doing this was that I angered Jiang Yao. My fate may be very tragic, but I really don't want the woman in my heart to be framed by her. I don't want to be threatened by her all the time. If I continue to be forced by her, she will force me to frame Chumeng today and force me to kill someone tomorrow. After the screenshot was sent to the class group, everyone lowered their heads and picked up their phones to check. Soon, everyone in the class showed surprised expressions. Chumeng, who was sitting at the front row, was the most shocked. She seemed to have no idea that Jiang Yao would be this kind of person. After Jiang Yao saw the screenshots in the group, the rage on her face grew even more intense. She also knew clearly that once I told this to everyone, her plan to use the feminine products to frame Chumeng would be ruined. Moreover, the screenshots clearly showed how much she wanted these things. This will also let the whole class know that Jiang Yao is not a good woman. It can be seen from the others' shock and the discussions that they began. When Jiang Yao heard this, her eyes were full of hatred when she looked at me. She really wanted to kill me to relieve her hatred. But Jiang Yao was much smarter than I thought. She immediately acted shocked and aggrieved and said, "How is this possible? I have never sent such a message to Qin Shou. Qin Shou must have stolen my account and wanted to frame me. Teacher Lin, classmates, don't be fooled by the screenshots. Chumeng and I have always been good friends. How could I do such a thing? I didn't expect Jiang Yao to turn the tables." Before I could explain, Jiang Yao continued to say aggrievedly, "We all know who Qin Shou is. He has always wanted to pursue me and even wanted to take my virginity. I just didn't want to agree to it. When he saw that I didn't want to, he held a grudge and wanted to take revenge on me, so he did this. Don't believe him. Jiang Yao is extremely popular in the class. Many boys like her and surround her in the class. In addition, her brother is a senior figure in the school, so she has a high status in the class. Even if what she says is false, most people will support her. My reputation in the class had long been ruined by Lin Yue and Jiang Yao. In their eyes, I was the definition of vulgar and disgusting, and it was normal for me to do such things. Not to mention Lin Yue. Not only is the relationship between her and I not very good, but in the eyes of teachers like them, students who study well must have good thoughts and morals, and people like me who are not very good at studying must be bad at everything. It is very clear who she will choose to believe. Before Jiang Yao finished speaking, everyone in the class looked at me. Most people's eyes were filled with anger and contempt, but Chumeng's eyes were filled with anxiety. It can be seen that she did not believe what Jiang Yao said. Jiang Yao's performance was not over yet. She looked at the other people's reactions, and after revealing a barely perceptible smile, she pretended to be aggrieved and pitiful, and pulled Lin Yue's clothes and said, "Teacher Lin, you have to make the decision for him. Qin Shou is just like his name, a beast. You don't know how painful it is to be his deskmate. I live under his coercion every day. He molests me every day and wants to get my virginity. Woo woo woo." Jiang Yao burst into tears as she spoke. The performance was so real, as if she had been bullied by me for a long time and looked hurt. "Teacher, please expel this beast quickly, he is such a jerk." "That's right, teacher, you are such a beast. I told you, ugly people are more likely to do bad things. The worse their grades and the uglier they are, the more likely they are to do such disgusting things. We asked the teacher to expel him immediately." The other people in the class also started shouting, each of them looked righteous. They did not really believe Jiang Yao. Most of them even knew that Jiang Yao was acting, but they were all acting out of their own selfish desires and to curry favor with Jiang Yao, so they spoke against their conscience. Lin Yue, who was standing aside, was also very angry at the moment. She slammed the table and said to me with a look of disappointment, "Qin Shou, I am so disappointed in you." Then, regardless of whether Jiang Yao's words were true or not, she acted like she was sacrificing her own interests for the sake of justice. "Qin Shou, I have always regarded you as a good student, but you are really too much to do this. I can't take care of this matter anymore. I have to report to the head teacher. My original purpose was to destroy Jiang Yao's false accusation against Chumeng and to give Chumeng a warning. Now my goal has been achieved, but I didn't expect things to turn out like this. If Jiang Yao retaliated and beat me up afterwards, I would accept it, but once the head teacher came, it would be a big deal. I had to make a final defense for myself. I shook my head and said, "This is definitely not what Jiang Yao said. She said I stole her account. Does she have any evidence?" As soon as I said this, Jiang Yao's face changed obviously. She was lying. Where was the evidence? I thought that other people would think of evidence like Jiang Yao, but Lin Yue sneered and said, "What evidence? Jiang Yao is such a poor student and such a well-behaved child, how could she lie? If she could be as scheming as you and get evidence, she wouldn't have said it until now. Yes, Jiang Yao is so beautiful and good at studying, how could she lie? Only ugly people like you would do such weird things and tell so many lies." The rest of the class started talking as well. When I heard them say this, you can imagine how angry I felt. What do you mean if you are good at studying, you won't lie if you are pretty, you are a good person? What kind of stupid logic is this? Especially Lin Yue, who obviously wanted to use this incident to take revenge on me. This made me even more angry, and I felt like I had been holding back a lot of anger in my heart. I really wanted to explode and tell her everything. But then I thought, if I tell her now, not only will she retaliate against me, but I won't be able to do what I want to do. I gritted my teeth and held back. I didn't argue, but reminded Lin Yue, she doesn't have evidence, but I do. If you show evidence of some things, you will bear the consequences yourself. Lin Yue could also tell that I was warning her, but I didn't expect that she seemed to have figured out what I was thinking. Knowing that I was unwilling to speak out directly, she sneered and said, "The evidence may also be false. Not everyone is stupid enough to believe it. Jiang Yao is a good child. I can't let her suffer any injustice." "Wow, Teacher Lin, you're so nice. Call the head teacher quickly. I don't want to endure Qin Shou's intimidation anymore." Jiang Yao first took advantage of everyone's attention on me and smiled at me smugly. Then she covered her eyes and started talking in a crying voice. Her crying further aroused the so-called righteousness of other students in the class. They kept asking Lin Yue to make a phone call quickly, to call their head teacher. Lin Yue was waiting for the student's request. She pretended to be helpless and said, "Student Qin Shou, look at this is the voice of the students, you don't have to blame me, the teacher. How could I give up like this?" Although I was very angry, I still held back and told them that I definitely didn't steal Jiang Yao's account. But Lin Yue had no intention of listening at all. She walked to the podium, turned on her cell phone, and was about to call the head teacher. In order to cooperate with Lin Yue in making the call, the others stopped talking. For a moment, the classroom was so quiet that it was a little scary. Unable to stop Lin Yue, I was angry and desperate at the same time. Lin Yue and other students didn't listen to me, and the grade director didn't believe me even more. Once he came, my crime of threatening Jiang Yao would be confirmed, and the consequences would be very serious. This makes me want revenge even more. "Lin Yue, you treat me like this, right? Okay. I will kill you on Tuesday. You wait for me." I closed my eyes in despair, waiting for Lin Yue to call their head teacher. However, at this moment, a voice like the sound of nature rang out in the quiet class, "Teacher, it is not appropriate for you to call the head teacher directly. There must be evidence for everything. You can't conclude that Qin Shou did that kind of thing just because he is a poor student without any evidence." I opened my eyes in shock. I never thought that someone would speak for me at this time. I looked towards the source of their voice and saw Chu Meng standing up. She was speaking for me. Chapter 23, Trick. Her words were so gentle and pleasant that they excited me beyond measure. My originally desperate heart was instantly ignited with the flame of hope. Jiang Yao and Chu Meng are the best in the class in terms of both appearance and academic performance. They are equally matched in terms of appearance and academic performance. Some people like Jiang Yao, and naturally some people like Chu Meng as well. But Chu Meng, facing the pursuit of others, rejected them one by one, and seemed so high and mighty, unlike Jiang Yao, who would keep others hanging and let them serve her even if she didn't like them, so her popularity in the class was not as high as Jiang Yao's. Even so, her words still had a lot of weight, and everyone looked at her, most of them were surprised, and they didn't expect that such a high and mighty goddess like her would speak for me. After Jiang Yao saw her speak, a strong hostility appeared in her eyes, and Lin Yue stopped what she was doing. Although she also wanted to call the head teacher quickly and ask him to come over so that I could suffer a little, she couldn't pretend not to hear Chu Meng's words. After all, Chu Meng was one of her most valued students. She put down her phone and said seriously, "Student Chu Meng, I know better than you who Qin Shou is. I don't need any evidence. Don't think that what he said is for you. In fact, he is just talking nonsense. Teacher Lin, I believe Qin Shou, he is not that kind of person." Chu Meng defended me. "Chu Meng, you can't judge a person by his appearance. Don't be fooled by his appearance. This kind of person is the worst. Besides, haven't he done enough bad things?" Jiang Yao stood up and reminded her coldly, pretending to be kind, completely forgetting that I had just said that she had framed Chu Meng. "Yes, classmate Chu Meng, you can't judge a person by his appearance. Let's just forget about this matter. I will call their head teacher right away. We can't allow this kind of cancer to remain in our class." Lin Yue glared at me and was about to make another call. Seeing that her words were useless, Chu Meng became anxious and begged Lin Yue to believe her. But Lin Yue shook her head and said that she was too kind and some people could not be trusted. Then she started looking for the number of the head teacher. Although Chu Meng's words did not play any role and the outcome of the matter might not have changed, I was still very excited. I felt better and more satisfied than ever before. The Chu Meng of the past is too far away from me. She is like a white swan in the sky, and I am a lazy toad, out of reach. Normally, if Chu Meng could say a few words to me, I would be happy for many days. Now she is willing to plead for me and speak for me. How could I not be happy and excited? Even if the dean of grade level came over and gave me a serious warning, I would be willing to do it and would have no regrets. Seeing that Lin Yue was about to make a call, my face, which had originally been gloomy, was now filled with smiles. "Yue, no matter what you do, you have to have evidence. How can you come to a conclusion without evidence?" Just as Lin Yue was about to press the call button, Jiang Rong suddenly appeared at the door of the classroom. Lin Yue and Jiang Yao frowned at her sudden appearance. Lin Yue asked in surprise, "Rong, why are you here?" "It was classmate Chu Meng who sent me the text message." Jiang Rong replied. When these words were spoken, the whole class was shocked. No one could have imagined that Chu Meng would inform Jiang Rong for me, and no one could have imagined that Jiang Rong would suddenly stand up and speak for me. I was also very shocked and even felt a little confused. Jiang Rong ignored the shocked expressions of the others and turned to look at Jiang Yao. "Student Jiang Yao, you just said that Qin Shou framed you, so please show us the evidence." Jiang Yao was originally staring at Chu Meng with hatred, but when she saw Jiang Rong, she immediately pretended to be very aggrieved and said, "Teacher Jiang, where do I have any evidence? Qin Shou only said it verbally, and I didn't write it down. If there is no evidence, then this matter is just like what Qin Shou said just now that you want to frame Chu Meng, it's all false. Otherwise, if you say he is true without any evidence, then what he said can also be said to be true." Jiang Rong asked back. "Jiang Rong is also our class teacher. She is gentle and more popular than Lin Yue in our class. Her words carry a lot of weight." Her question made Jiang Yao's face change drastically. She wanted to refute, but found that there was nothing she could say. Lin Yue's face didn't look very good either. "Yue, since there is no evidence, then this matter does not exist. Let's forget about it. If we call the grade director, the matter may be known to the school's top management. I don't think they will be so stupid as to deal with Qin Shou without any evidence, right? On the contrary, if the screenshots sent by Qin Shou were known by the school's top management, it would have a significant impact on our class." Jiang Rong persuaded. "Lin Yue is an excellent teacher in the school." When she heard that it would affect us, her attitude immediately changed 180 degrees. She nodded and said, "Teacher Jiang is right. I didn't think about this matter enough. Let's just forget about it. I believe that the students I teach are all from good schools. There must be a misunderstanding." Hearing Lin Yue say forget it, Jiang Rong was obviously relieved. Chu Meng, who was standing at the front, was also greatly relieved, and I became even more excited. This feeling is like a 1,000-year-old loser being favored by the goddess in his heart. Jiang Yao was still obviously unconvinced, but since Lin Yue had said so, she didn't continue to pester her. Then Jiang Yao and I were called out by Lin Yue and Jiang Rong. They both wanted to make a big deal out of a small matter. She didn't ask us why we were like that, but advised us to get along well and study hard. Jiang Yao changed quickly, and immediately acted like a good student, nodded and said she would definitely fix the misunderstanding between me and her. This result was far better than I expected. Although Jiang Yao might cause trouble for me after class, Chu Meng and Jiang Rong's willingness to help me made me realize that there are also warm-hearted people in school. I nodded frequently. In front of Jiang Rong, Lin Yue had to pretend to have a good relationship with me. After she finished speaking, she gave me a lot of earnest advice. I couldn't help but thank Jiang Rong for her willingness to help me. I felt like I was nothing. When I saw Jiang Rong that time, I thought of her as Lin Yue. I felt very indebted and kept my head down to say thank you to her. Jiang Rong just smiled at my thanks and said that she didn't want her students to be hurt. Her words made Lin Yue look unhappy. She didn't want to continue or say anything more, so she let Jiang Yao and I return to the class. Before entering the classroom, I turned around to look at Lin Yue and made up my mind that even if Jiang Yao wanted to take revenge on me and hired someone to beat me half to death, I would still have sex with Lin Yue and make her pay the price for what happened today. When Chu Meng saw that I was fine, she breathed a sigh of relief and a smile appeared on her pretty face, which had been tense all the time. Her smile was very quiet, like a fairy in a painting, which almost made me go crazy. However, Jiang Yao's words made me feel like I was down to earth again. Qin Shou, you are so brave that you dared to tell me about that. But I am a very generous person. This time, for the sake of Teacher Lin and Teacher Jiang, I will not pursue it. I will not let you frame Chu Meng. But what you said just now really hurt my heart. In order to make up for my emotional trauma, you have to do something for me, otherwise, the consequences will be unbearable for you. When I heard her threatening me, I felt so upset that I really wanted to slap her hard, but I held back and suppressed my anger and asked her, "What do you want?" While applying nail polish on her nails, she told me, "It's nothing. Chu Meng helped you just now, you should thank her. How about this, you can text Chu Meng to invite her out for dinner tonight and say you want to thank her. As long as you get this done, the grudge between us will be written off." The conditions she proposed seemed simple and well-intentioned, but they made me frown. I felt that there was nothing good about it. Then I asked, what happens after we call her out? Of course it's dinner, what else could it be? Just do as I say. Jiang Yao rolled her eyes and said, I'm helping you out of kindness, but you didn't even treat me to a meal. You're letting Chu Meng down. What she said was true, I had to thank Chu Meng, but she definitely had other purposes, and they were not good for Chu Meng. I could not possibly do what she said. I shook my head and said firmly, I will not go. No. Good. You have backbone. Just wait and see after class. Jiang Yao seemed to be annoyed. I ignored her behavior and gave me a thumbs up. As soon as she finished speaking, the bell rang. Lin Yue didn't even look at us and left with the book. Jiang Yao had just stood up and was about to go find Liu Chenghai. She rolled her eyes, as if she had thought of something, and immediately smiled and said, I really can't do anything about you. I'll tell you the truth. I called her out tonight just to have her accompany my brother for dinner. It's nothing. Get lost, I'd rather die than go. When I heard Jiang Yao say that he was her brother, the anger that had just been extinguished in my heart suddenly rose up again. I was angrier than ever before. I didn't care about the consequences and started to curse at her directly. Chapter 24 Nothing. The reason why I was so angry was that the brother Jiang Yao mentioned, whose name was Zhongxing, was a well-known gangster outside the school. Relying on his good connections outside, he flirted with female students everywhere in our school. He wanted to sleep with any pretty girl he saw. There must be at least 20 women he had played with. Every woman suffered a miserable fate. Being deflowered and dumped were just small matters. Many women were made pregnant by him and then forced to have abortions. Some women were even forced by him to take out naked loans. In the end, they were heavily in debt. One female student even committed suicide by jumping off a building. No matter who it is, who can resist meeting a goddess as beautiful as Chu Meng, especially the lustful scum Zhongxing, he will never let go of such an opportunity. If Chu Meng eats a meal with him, the end will be very miserable, and she will most likely be forced to lose her virginity by Zhongxing. Jiang Yao is so mean that she actually used Zhongxing to deal with Chu Meng. It was so strange to think that she was planning to let Zhongxing force Chu Meng, who was sacred and inviolable in my heart, to do that kind of thing. The anger in my heart could no longer be controlled and burst out. My roar was so loud that it could be heard clearly in the class. Everyone looked at me in shock. No one could have imagined that I had the courage to roar at Jiang Yao and even greet her mother. Jiang Yao also didn't expect that I would actually scold her. After all, in her eyes, I was just a little loser who allowed herself to be bullied by her, while she was the high and mighty goddess who was admired by everyone. Just now, when I reported what she was going to do, she just thought I was crazy for saying that. For a moment, she was a little confused. After a while, she finally reacted. My scolding made her feel insulted. She became very angry and raised her hand to slap me, but her hand stopped in mid-air. She sneered and clapped her hands. Great, great. You have guts. As she was talking, Liu Chenghai and his brothers came over and surrounded me. Liu Chenghai grabbed my collar and slapped me in the face. Sharbi, you dare to scold Jiang Yao? Believe it or not, I will kill you right now. To be honest, I was quite scared when facing Liu Chenghai and the others. Although I was also full of anger, they were the bullies in the class after all, and I was just the one who was bullied in the class. Deep in my heart, I couldn't change my fear of the bullies all of a sudden. After being slapped by him, I felt a burning pain on my face and my head was a little dizzy. I didn't even think of fighting back. Yao Yao, how do you want to deal with this matter? After slapping me, Liu Chenghai still grabbed my collar and asked. Drag him into the corridor. Jiang Yao said after looking outside. Liu Chenghai obeyed Jiang Yao's every word, completely unaware that Jiang Yao was just using him. Then, under the watchful eyes of my classmates, I was forcibly dragged outside by Liu Chenghai and his gang. I looked back at the class and saw that most people were looking at me excitedly, waiting to laugh at me. However, Chu Meng's desk was empty. I didn't know where she had gone. Liu Chenghai and the others pulled me hard again and dragged me into the corridor. We made a lot of noise, so naturally a group of people gathered around us, but they were all chased back by Jiang Yao. Seeing that everyone had retreated, Jiang Yao asked Liu Chenghai and the others to press me against the wall. She sneered and asked me again, Qin Shou, I'll give you another chance. Are you willing or not? You should know that my brother has liked Chu Meng for a long time. It's just that every time this little bitch gets out of school, her family comes to pick her up, so I can't find a chance to do it. If you don't want to, then you'll offend my brother, and he'll kill you, believe it or not. From what Jiang Yao said, I can tell that this matter must have been something she came up with on impulse. After all, she didn't know before that Chu Meng would speak for me. She should know better than anyone what the consequences of giving Chu Meng to her brother would be. She actually wanted to push Chu Meng into the fire pit just to please her brother. Jiang Yao's mind was really too evil. Or maybe, she just wanted to use her brother to do bad things to Chu Meng. What she said just now was true. If I offended her brother, he wouldn't kill me, but I would definitely not be able to stay in our school. Even so, I was unwilling to agree. In my heart, she was sacred and inviolable, and no one could defile her. I almost yelled at her and answered, no, I won't agree to it even if you kill me. Okay, since you don't want to, don't blame me for being rude. Seeing that I was still unwilling, Jiang Yao's face turned ugly. She waved her hand and said, Liu Chenghai, you guys go ahead, don't show mercy, stop when he wants to be beaten. Liu Chenghai and the others had long wanted to show off in front of Jiang Yao. Following Jiang Yao's order, Liu Chenghai grabbed me and slammed me against the wall again. He asked the others to hold my legs and feet, and slapped me twice. You bastard, do you agree or not? I bit my lip and stared at Liu Chenghai and Jiang Yao. Even if you beat me to death, I won't agree. Damn it. I'm going to beat you to death today. Liu Chenghai was just thinking about showing off in front of Jiang Yao. Seeing that I was unwilling, he got furious. He punched me in the stomach and cursed, do you agree or not? I gritted my teeth and said nothing. I was unwilling to be beaten by him like this, so I tried hard to break free from the others, but in the end, I was no match for the four of them. No matter how hard I struggled, I couldn't break free from their control. Seeing that I was still unwilling, Liu Chenghai was very embarrassed. He first told Jiang Yao that I would agree immediately. After that, in order to show how awesome he was, he started punching me one after another, all hitting my vital parts, without caring at all that we were classmates. While beating me, he cursed, fuck you, agree quickly. I felt like my body was about to fall apart after being beaten by him. I almost vomited bitterness because of the pain. I really wanted to give up, but when I thought that if I agreed, the inviolable Chu Meng in my heart would be insulted and trampled by Jiang Yao's so-called brother, and even be raped by him, I was extremely angry. I bit my lips tightly and refused to agree. I hated Jiang Yao and Liu Chenghai and his gang even more. When Jiang Yao saw me being beaten, her pretty face was full of pride. She also snorted and said, "Hurry up and agree. If you don't agree, you will only be beaten. Do you agree or not?" "I don't agree." I screamed at Jiang Yao, "Even if you kill me, I still don't agree." "Damn, you're really stubborn." Liu Chenghai became even more angry. If he couldn't even handle me, how could he show off in front of Jiang Yao man? He looked around and saw a damaged chair. His face turned fierce. He took a step forward, lifted the chair, aimed it at my head, and was about to smash it down. Wait, what's the point of hitting his head? If you want to hit something, just hit his crotch. Seeing that I still disagreed, Jiang Yao's face turned gloomy and she used the same trick as others. How fucking mean. Crotch smacking. Liu Chenghai hesitated for a moment after hearing this. He nodded in agreement, desperate to show off in front of Jiang Yao. He showed a sinister smile and said that someone would be the eunuch soon. Then he took the chair and gestured back and forth, ready to give my crotch a fatal blow at any time. Jiang Yao walked up to me and threatened again, "Qin Shou, do you agree or not? If you don't agree, I will castrate you and make you childless." I was really scared when I heard her threatening words. A lot of thoughts flashed through my mind. If she hit me, I would never have the chance to have that kind of relationship with Lin Yue again, and I would never be able to touch a woman again. But I didn't want to let them harm Chu Meng. This was something I absolutely would not allow in my heart. I yelled at them, "Get lost. I don't agree." "Okay, you don't agree, right? Liu Chenghai, smash it for me." Jiang Yao ordered. Liu Chenghai wanted to show off so much that before Jiang Yao finished speaking, he screamed a few times and threw the chair at me. Seeing this, a flash of despair flashed through my heart and I closed my eyes tightly. "You're such a stubborn guy. Stop smashing it." Just when I felt the chair was about to hit me, Jiang Yao called for a stop. She seemed to be afraid of something happening, so she shook her head and said, "It's okay if he doesn't agree. Liu Chenghai, take off his pants. Let him learn his lesson." Har har, good. Liu Chenghai became excited, and then several people came together and pulled down my pants and underwear regardless of my struggle. The next moment, my lower body was left without any covering. Chapter 25 I won't allow it. Seeing that my pants were stripped off, Jiang Yao pointed at my private parts and started laughing, saying that they were really ugly. Then, she laughed triumphantly, looked at me jokingly, asked Liu Chenghai to take my pants, asked for a lighter, and said to me, "Are you going to do it or not? If not, I will burn your pants and leave you naked." Although I am a man, I still have a sense of shame, not to mention that there is Jiang Yao in front of me. She is really too much. She can even think of such a trick. Is she a woman? After being stripped naked, I immediately covered my brother. If she burned my pants, I would be humiliated if someone found out at school today. But I still didn't want to do that for them. I gritted my teeth and said, "I won't agree to it. You're asking someone to take off my pants now. Aren't you afraid that I'll tell others about it?" "Har har, you're still threatening me. Let me tell you, no one will believe that I told you to do this. They will just think you're a pervert who took off your pants on purpose to show others." Jiang Yao said fearlessly, "I'll ask you one last time, will you do it or not?" "No." "Okay, this is your own choice." Jiang Yao smiled wickedly, turned on the lighter, and a flame appeared on my pants. Within a few seconds, my pants were burning. Looking at my burnt pants, you can imagine how angry I was. I wanted to go over and snatch the pants back, but Liu Hua and the others held me down. I could only listen to Jiang Yao, Liu Hua, and those lackeys laughing because my pants were burnt. After my pants were burned to ashes, Jiang Yao took out her phone, took a bunch of photos of me, and threatened me again, "We are deskmates. I can give you another day to think about it. If you still don't want to, I'm sorry, it's not as simple as burning your pants. Don't even think about running away or not coming to school. If you don't come, I will expose your photos, and then you will be famous all over the school." After saying this, Jiang Yao waved her hand and left with Liu Hua and the others, laughing. Looking at the pants on the ground that were burned to ashes by them, I was angry but also felt like crying without tears. According to Jiang Yao's personality, after returning to the class, she would definitely publicize the fact that I was naked from the waist down. It won't be long before a lot of people come over to see me without pants and call me a pervert. I'll be really embarrassed by then, and she's right, even if I tell others about this, no one will believe me. In order not to embarrass myself, I ran quickly from the corridor to the grove behind the school. There was no one in the grove and people often threw garbage there. I had seen a lot of unworn pants left there. This time, God helped me and I found a pair of pants that someone else had left there. After putting on my pants, thinking back to everything that had just happened, I became more and more annoyed, especially when I thought about how she had beaten me up and taken off my pants. I wanted to take revenge on Jiang Yao even more. I secretly swore in my heart that she took off my pants now and wanted to embarrass me. Then when I get the chance to retaliate, I will definitely strip her pants completely in front of everyone. I didn't go back to class immediately. I didn't know what Jiang Yao would do to me if I went back, so I didn't go back to class. I climbed over the wall and left the school directly and returned to my rental house. I was beaten up by Liu Hua and the others and my whole body was sore. When I got to the rental house, the text message alert on my phone started to ring. I thought it was Jiang Yao threatening me and asking me to go back and be laughed at by others. But when I opened it, I saw that it was from Chu Meng. She first said that she had just gone to the bathroom, and when she came back, she heard others say that I was taken away by Liu Hua. She asked me worriedly, "Where have you been now? Did Liu Hua and Jiang Yao do anything to me just now?" Chu Meng's concern made me feel warm all over, and I felt that everything I had done was worth it. In order not to make her worry, I told her that they didn't do anything, I just had something to do at home and went home first. Only then did Chu Meng feel relieved. When Jiang Yao saw that I didn't go back, she didn't look for me. It was not until after school that a strange mobile number sent me a text message, reminding me to do those things tomorrow and ask Chu Meng out. Otherwise, you can just wait for the photos to be exposed. Without thinking too much, I knew that this text message was sent by Jiang Yao using someone else's phone. She was quite smart and didn't leave any evidence for herself. Facing her threats, I felt angry but also powerless. If I hid and didn't go to school, she would expose the photos of me without pants. If I went, she would force me to make an appointment with Chu Meng. I was in a dilemma. I lowered my head and thought for a long time before I made a decision, which was to choose not to compromise. Compared to letting her expose me, I care more about Chu Meng's safety. I really don't want the perfect Chu Meng in my heart to be ruined by her hateful brother. This choice of mine also brought me endless troubles. The next morning, Jiang Yao found out that I was still unwilling to agree to her. She was furious and asked Liu Chenghai and his lackeys to beat me up. In order to teach me a lesson, she stripped me of my clothes on the spot. This time, she stripped me naked, not just my pants. Then she called and asked someone to come and see. If I hadn't bit Liu Chenghai hard and escaped at that time, I would have been embarrassed in school. This made me even more angry, and I wanted to make Jiang Yao pay the price one day and take off all her clothes in front of me. This situation lasted for 3 days. I gritted my teeth and persevered. I also resisted once, but there were 6 of them, not counting Jiang Yao. I was unarmed and was no match for them at all. For several days, I showed no intention of agreeing, and Jiang Yao became impatient. She knew that beating me and taking off my clothes was useless, so she came up with a plan. She asked Liu Chenghai to snatch my phone, and they would use my name to ask Chu Meng out. When I learned that they were going to snatch my phone, I instantly became anxious and fought back desperately, but the outcome was the same as before. I was no match for them alone, and my phone was quickly snatched away by them. Then Liu Chenghai and the others pinned me to the ground. Jiang Yao took the phone and gave me a smug smile. While sending a text message to Chu Meng, she said with a smirk, "My brother has been waiting for so long and is already very anxious. I won't make an appointment at night. In order to prevent any more trouble, I will ask her out at noon, and then I can have a good time with her." Damn it, how dare you? Jiang Yao's words made me completely furious. Seeing that she really started sending text messages, I struggled desperately again, but struggling was completely useless. I was pressed to the ground by Liu Chenghai and others. When Jiang Yao heard that I wanted to kill her, she laughed as if she had heard a joke. Then her face darkened and she stared at me intently. "Do you think I dare?" "Look, I have already sent the text message," and she replied so quickly. "Look, she has agreed." As she spoke, Jiang Yao took my phone screen and waved it in front of my eyes. When I saw the content inside, my heart sank. Chu Meng really replied to me. She said that she was willing to have dinner with me alone. Suddenly, I had mixed feelings. I felt that Chu Meng was different from other people. She was willing to treat me as a human being. I was very touched, but I felt more panic and anger. Jiang Yao, you are so cruel. Har har, what's wrong with being ruthless? I have the capital to be ruthless. I can be as ruthless as I want. Jiang Yao looked down at me, then she waved at Liu Chenghai and said, I have already sent the text message. Now you can teach him a lesson. I want him to have a deeper impression of this incident. Liu Chenghai and the others were desperately trying to show off in front of Jiang Yao. Now that they had the chance, they clenched their fists and first called me an idiot. Then they started punching and kicking me. They beat me to death. Their fists rained down on me. They didn't care whether I lived or died. Jiang Yao stood aside, watching all this with pride, until they got tired of fighting, and then they stopped. At that time, my consciousness was a little fuzzy, and I lay on the ground motionless. Seeing this, Jiang Yao smiled disdainfully, then leaned close to my ear and threatened me again, I will teach you a lesson today. If you dare to tell anyone about my appointment with Chu Meng and let her know, it will not be as simple as a beating and taking off your pants. I will castrate you and make you the first eunuch of New China. After that, Jiang Yao put my phone in her pocket and said that she would return it to me after I finished using it. She also pretended to be kind and said that she would top up my phone bill. Then she leaned down, patted my face hard, snorted a few times with disdain, and walked away. Liu Chenghai didn't leave immediately. After watching Jiang Yao leave, he stepped on my back and said with a lewd smile, Qin Shou, you idiot, it seems that you like Chu Meng too, right? Damn, you want to be a toad eating swan meat? I tell you, after Jiang Yao's brother is done playing, I will go and play too. TSK, thinking about Chu Meng, that fair and tender body, I get so fucking hard, har har. You bastard, I'm going to kill you. Her words made me extremely angry. I wanted to get up and beat him up severely, but I was in so much pain from being beaten by them that my whole body felt like it was falling apart. I didn't have the strength to get scared immediately. I could only watch Liu Chenghai leave here with a wild laugh. Lying on the ground, feeling the coldness of the ground, and thinking about how they beat me and insulted me, I took off my pants and still wanted to defile Chu Meng. This made me even angrier. My whole body felt like it was burning. Perhaps it was anger that gave me strength. I got up from the ground, gritted my teeth, and ran to the classroom with all my strength. I don't care how Jiang Yao will retaliate against me, how he will beat me up, or kick me out of school, or offend his brother. Chu Meng is the most beautiful and pure existence in my heart. I won't allow them to harm Chu Meng. I won't allow them to tarnish Chu Meng. Even though I was terribly afraid of their revenge, I still had to stop them. What's more, the humiliation they inflicted on me has already exceeded my bottom line. I am a coward, but in this situation, if I continue to be a coward, I am not a man. Chapter 26. She must be embarrassed. Enduring the pain in my body, I ran to the classroom, but I found that Chu Meng was not in the classroom at the moment. When Jiang Yao saw me, she looked disdainful and made a card slot gesture to me, which meant that if I dared to tell this to others, she would castrate me. After doing this, she waved her hand, signaling me to go over and stop talking. Jiang Yao is not only popular in the class, she also has a brother to back her up in school, and she also has a foster brother outside. She said she wanted to castrate me, which might not be possible, but she could still kick me out of school and make my life worse than death every day. To be honest, I was really scared of her threats, and my legs were almost shaking. But I really don't want Chu Meng to be defiled by them, and I don't want to be humiliated by them like this. I was so cruel that I didn't go over there. I gritted my teeth and stood at the door of the class, waiting for her to come back. As soon as she came back, I would tell her the trick that Jiang Yao and Liu Chenghai had planned. Seeing that I didn't cooperate with her, Jiang Yao also saw what I was going to do. She sneered and said to me, Qin Shou, I'll give you 3 seconds. Go back to your seat now. I pretended not to hear anything and still stood at the door. Seeing this, Jiang Yao raised her voice so that the whole class could hear it clearly. Others looked at me strangely again, but I still stood at the door as if I hadn't heard anything. Ring, ring, ring. Just then, the class bell rang, which made Jiang Yao's face darken. Class time meant that Chu Meng was about to come back. She was probably afraid that I would ruin her good thing, and didn't want to talk to me anymore. She gave Liu Chenghai a look, and after Liu Chenghai understood what she meant, he brought his little brothers and came over to me. Qin Shou, if you don't want to continue to be beaten, then go back to your desk. Otherwise, you will be made to stand when entering the classroom and lie down when leaving. Liu Chenghai and others approached me and threatened me again with contempt. I won't. Don't even think about it. I roared angrily, backed away, looked outside nervously, and prayed in my heart, Chu Meng, come back soon, soon. However, no one knew where Chu Meng had gone. There was almost no one in the corridor outside the classroom, and there was still no sign of Chu Meng. People in the class were very shocked to see that I dared to yell at Liu Chenghai. In their eyes, I was a weirdo and a coward. How could I have the courage to yell at Liu Chenghai? Liu Chenghai also sensed their strangeness, which made him feel very embarrassed. He frowned and said coldly, "Fuck, you dog, you think you're awesome, right? It seems that I didn't hurt you just now. You don't listen, right? In this case, well, I have to teach you a lesson again today and let you know how powerful I am." As he said that, he waved his hand, and the four of them surrounded me again. Seeing this, I was a little panicked. If the four of them came over, I would not be his opponent at all. I didn't want to be controlled by them. I didn't wait for Chu Meng to come back and tell her all this. In a hurry, I saw a small knife for sharpening 2B pencils on Chu Meng's desk. I covered it with both hands and said to them with a trembling voice, "You, don't come over here." This was the first time in my life that I pointed a knife at someone, even if it was a small knife. The students watching were stunned when they saw me doing this. Liu Chenghai couldn't help but stare at me for a moment, but after a moment, Liu Chenghai seemed to have seen something funny, and he pointed at me and laughed. Oh my god, he actually pointed a knife at me. Look at the way he held the knife, doesn't it look like a Sharpie? Har har, brother Hooer is right. I used to think he was a fool, but now when I see him holding a knife, he looks even more like a fool. Liu Chenghai's followers laughed, holding their stomachs. The other students who were watching were still in shock, but when they heard them laughing, they all started to laugh too, especially Jiang Yao, who was laughing so hard that she almost had cramps. Their laughter was so harsh and unpleasant that it made the rage in my heart even stronger. Damn, what's the use of having so many knives? After laughing, Liu Chenghai started yelling at me. His voice was so loud that it hurt my eardrums a little. The originally noisy class became quiet in an instant because of his yelling. Liu Chenghai looked at the whole class with disdain, and said coldly again, "Just now I just wanted to teach you a lesson, but it's too late now. You must kneel down and kowtow to apologize, otherwise, har har, not only will I let me play, I will also let my brothers play with me, and then we will all play once. Har har har." Although the others didn't know what Liu Chenghai said next, they all looked at me. They seemed to be expecting me to be frightened by Liu Chenghai and fall to my knees. You. Others don't know what Liu Chenghai said, but I know what he said about how he treated Chu Meng, which is something I cannot tolerate. My whole body was shaking with anger. I could no longer suppress the rage in my heart. I tightly grasped the knife, pointed the tip of the knife at Liu Chenghai, and yelled at Liu Chenghai at the loudest voice in my life, "If I don't kneel, I will kill you." My words were beyond everyone's expectations. They were a little surprised at first, and then burst into strong laughter. Liu Chenghai laughed even harder. Har har, this is really making me laugh to death. Do you still want to kill me? As he said that, he suddenly took a step forward, opened his shirt, exposing his chest, and said provocatively, come on, kill me, insert it here. If you don't, I'll let all the boys in the class take turns to play with that person. Har har har. Let's see if you have the guts. When I picked up the knife just now, I didn't have the courage to stab it, but his laughter, he let all the men in the class play with Chu Meng, made my inner anger burst out completely, and there was a voice in my heart telling me to explode. Let him pay the price for bullying others. Go to hell. I roared, tightly grasped the knife in my hand, and stabbed it towards Liu Chenghai's exposed chest. Liu Chenghai kept looking at me arrogantly and complacently, and didn't react at all until my knife was close to his chest. Then he reacted with fear in his eyes. The arrogance and complacency he had before disappeared in an instant, and his expression even changed drastically, with a pleading look on his face. In my cruel heart, I sneered. This Liu Chenghai only knows how to bully others by taking advantage of his power. In fact, he is a guy who bullies the weak and fears the strong. This series of his behavior made me even more furious. I was bullied for so long and beaten so badly by such a coward, and he still wanted to defile Chumeng. I became more and more angry, yelled, and stabbed forward fiercely. Liu Chenghai was terrified and subconsciously dodged to the side, and the knife stabbed directly into his right chest. The knife was not very sharp, but it still went in. The next moment, screams like a pig being slaughtered resounded in the silent classroom. Everyone else was stunned. No one could have imagined that a person at the bottom of society like me would be so bold as to stab Liu Chenghai with a knife. Even Jiang Yao and Liu Chenghai's lackeys were stunned with shock. After the knife stabbed in, bright red blood flowed down the handle. I felt the warmth of the blood, but I didn't feel any fear. All I wanted to do was to kill Liu Chenghai. Make him pay the price. Although the sword did not penetrate deeply, Liu Chenghai was frightened so much that his face turned pale, his eyes widened in horror, and then his legs went limp and he fell to the ground. Seeing him fall to the ground, I did not let go of the opportunity to hit him, because the anger in my heart had not disappeared at all. I directly rode on him and beat him fiercely just like they had beaten me just now. Liu Chenghai was totally frightened and had no ability to fight back at all. He just covered his head and let me beat him. Every time I punched him, I felt more relieved. I've never felt anything like this before. Such a taste of revenge. But these are far from enough. Liu Chenghai is hateful, but the most hateful one is Jiang Yao. She is the culprit. She is the one I need to take revenge on the most. The one who needs to make her pay the most. I slapped Liu Chenghai hard again, and then I pulled the knife out of his chest. Liu Chenghai screamed, and blood splattered everywhere, including on my face. I looked quite scary. Picking up the knife, I glanced at the whole class. Just now, everyone looked at me with a funny expression, but when they saw my face covered in blood, they were so scared that they lowered their heads and dared not look at me. Liu Chenghai is a person who bullies the weak and fears the strong, and his lackeys are even more so. They had no intention of coming to help Liu Chenghai, and after seeing me, they were so scared that they ran away. Looking at these terrified faces, I sneered in my heart. Aren't they usually so arrogant? Come on now. Come on. I yelled in my heart, and then I didn't care about Liu Chenghai's life or death. At that time, I had only one thought in my mind, and that was to make Jiang Yao pay the price. With this in mind, I took the knife and walked towards Jiang Yao. At this moment, I was like a god of death. No matter where I went, people would make way for me. Jiang Yao was not stupid. When she saw me walking towards her, she knew what I wanted to do. She was immediately frightened and kept backing away from the class. However, she still did not forget to threaten me. Qin Shou, get out of here and don't come over here. If you dare to come over here, I will let my brother expel you and let my brother-in-law kill you. The more she threatened me, the angrier I got. I was fed up with her threats. Her brother, her foster brother, it was all bullshit. Ignoring her threats, I inched towards her. Seeing that I didn't listen, Jiang Yao was really scared. Although she was still threatening, her voice was shaking. I'm telling the truth, don't come over here, you know the consequences. You know nothing about the consequences. I just want you to pay the price today. The more she said this, the more anger ignited in my heart. All the things in the past, being beaten by her, having my pants taken off by her, framing Chumeng, all kinds of things, all came to my mind at once. I yelled at Jiang Yao and walked quickly forward. Seeing this, Jiang Yao screamed in fear and ran to the back door. Jiang Yao was quite tall, so she sat in the back. The back door was not far away from her, and she ran to it in a few steps. But God did not help her today. The back door was locked and she could not open it no matter how hard she pulled. The moment she pulled me, I also ran to her side. Jiang Yao was instantly horrified and shook her head, saying, Qin Shou, we are desk mates, and you are a girl, you can't hit me. Har, now you remember that I'm your desk mate. I also value feelings. Since we are desk mates, I won't hit you. I said with a smile. Really? Jiang Yao's fear disappeared in an instant. Then, I'll go back to my seat. I keep my word. I won't hit you, but you don't have to go back yet. I used to hear you say proudly that you have a great figure, but you were always wearing clothes and I couldn't see it. Now let's put it this way. I won't hit you. Just take off all your clothes and let me see what your figure is like. And last time, you took off my clothes, so this time you take off your clothes and let me see, so it can be considered as friendly interaction. I said with a smile. What? Impossible. Jiang Yao was furious. It's impossible, but it's possible. If you don't agree today, I will kill you. I roared in anger, holding the knife and pointing it at Jiang Yao. After Jiang Yao stripped my pants last time, I swore to find an opportunity to strip Jiang Yao's clothes as well. Now is the opportunity. Take off all her clothes and let everyone see. Let her be humiliated. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Chapter 27, Desperate Jiang Yao. Qin Shou, forget it, you beast. A true beast. Jiang Yao covered her chest and said angrily again. Everyone in the class was stunned when they saw this. No one could have imagined that I would actually make this request. Some of the boys who had been pursuing Jiang Yao and liked her hid in the crowd, as if they hadn't heard anything. Yes, I am a beast. Don't you and Lin Yue both say that I am a beast? Then I will show you how I am a beast. Hurry up and take off your clothes. If you don't, you will suffer the same fate as Liu Chenghai. I pointed at Liu Chenghai, who was lying on the ground and wailing. I don't believe you dare to do this. My brother-in-law is a gangster. If you do this, he will kill you. No, he will kill your whole family. Although Jiang Yao was trembling all over, she was still unwilling to cooperate with me. Jiang Yao didn't want to stay here. She chose to run away, shouting for help. But now those who said they loved her and liked her were all scared by my actions just now. Who would care about her? It would have been fine if she had just threatened me, but she even brought my family into the case, which made the anger in my chest burn even more. I didn't want to let her go, because she was a woman after all, and couldn't run fast at all. After she ran a few steps, I grabbed her from behind and said, "Don't run anymore. If you run again, I'll use a knife." Unexpectedly, she was still struggling and running forward desperately. Seeing that she was still moving, I pulled her clothes and yanked them hard, tearing most of the clothes on her shoulders. Her tender white arms, shoulders, and black brass straps were exposed in front of me. Not to mention, she has developed really well, especially her breasts, which have begun to take shape. Although not as big as Lin Yue's, her pure energy and breasts of this size look more seductive than those with bigger breasts. I wonder what she would look like if she took off her black bra. This further aroused my desire for revenge. I wanted to take off her clothes to see what she looked like and make her embarrass herself in front of the whole class. Although the consequences of doing so were serious, I was so angry at that time that I didn't care about anything else. Jiang Yao felt her clothes being torn, and she was completely scared. She didn't dare to threaten me anymore, and she was so scared that tears came out of her eyes. She looked quite pitiful. But her misery is all her own fault. So she was pitiful. If Chu Meng had been deceived by her and defiled by her foster brother, how pitiful would Chu Meng be? She forced me to do things I didn't want to do, and she asked someone to beat me up so badly. My pants were taken off several times. I am much more pitiful than her. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Seeing her attractive figure, I became more determined to take off all her clothes and let everyone see. This would be a lesson she would never forget. I put the knife directly to Jiang Yao's back and threatened again, "Hurry up and take off your clothes, or I will really kill you." Perhaps Jiang Yao felt the coldness of the knife and was so scared that she started crying loudly. Her previous arrogance and complacency were gone in an instant. She cried and shouted, asking Liu Chenghai to come and save her, and asking those people she liked to come and save her, but no one responded. Liu Chenghai was stabbed in the chest by me just now, but only on the right side, and the knife was not very sharp, it only penetrated the flesh, not even the sternum. At this moment, he had already been taken to the infirmary by his lackeys. After shouting for a long time but no one paid attention to her, Jiang Yao's face showed a trace of despair. After all, she was just a girl. She was arrogant and spoiled because someone praised her. Now that no one paid attention to her, she realized how weak she was. She was really scared. She bit her lips tightly and said in a crying voice, I'll take it off, okay." Before she finished speaking, Jiang Yao yelled at the students who were watching, "Turn around, everyone. Whoever dares to look, I'll dig out his eyes." When these people heard that Jiang Yao was willing to take off her clothes, they became excited and wanted to see what Jiang Yao would look like after taking off her clothes. However, deep down, they were still afraid of Jiang Yao. After Jiang Yao said this, everyone else turned their heads away obediently and no one dared to take another look. This came as a bit of a surprise to me. Although these people are afraid of me now, they will never listen to me. They are more afraid of Jiang Yao's future revenge. This makes me very unwilling, but I can only accept the reality. They dare not watch, but I watch. Anyway, everyone will know in the future that Jiang Yao took off all her clothes in front of me in class. It will be so embarrassing for her. Moreover, although I was very angry in my heart, Jiang Yao's figure was really attractive. No one in the class had a better figure than hers, and I really wanted to see her body. I am still the person she despises the most, the person she despises the most. What would she think and how angry she would be when she saw her body? This is the greatest revenge for her. It also makes her understand what kind of pain defilement will bring to others. Take it off, I ordered. Jiang Yao wiped her tears and cried, looking at me pleadingly, as if she was begging me not to let her take it off. The more she did this, the more I wanted her to take it off. Why didn't she think of this when she was forcing me to frame Chu Meng? Why didn't she think of this consequence when she beat me? It's all her own fault, she can't blame anyone else. If you don't take it off, I'll take it off for you. I looked at her coldly and tightened the knife in my hand. Jiang Yao shook her head, as if she accepted her fate. She cried even harder. Then she wiped her tears, lowered her head, and slowly began to take off her shirt which I had torn from the back. As she slowly pulled her clothes up from the bottom, the tender white skin around her waist was slowly revealed. But just when her clothes just reached her bra, she didn't want to take them off any further. She threatened me again, saying that she would really kill my whole family, and would also let her brother-in-law play with Chu Meng mercilessly. She advised me to get out of here right away. Her words undoubtedly made me even more angry. Maybe an honest person is more terrifying when he explodes than a rampant person. I am like this. When I heard that she wanted to kill my whole family and play with Chu Meng, I was really furious. At that time, I was not afraid of anything, and I didn't want her to take it off by herself. Then I grabbed her clothes and tried to take them off forcibly. As soon as my hands touched her clothes, I was met with strong resistance from Jiang Yao. I wanted to take revenge on Jiang Yao and make her pay the price. Facing her resistance, I used even more force and grabbed her tightly. Jiang Yao screamed in pain. I hated her to the extreme. Her screams of pain sounded better to me than a woman's moaning. I used as much force as I could, thinking that I must take off her clothes. She was a woman after all, and not as strong as me. After a struggle, I pulled her clothes off, and in an instant, her graceful upper body was left with only her black bra. Just from the little bit that was exposed, I could tell that Jiang Yao's breasts were well developed. But after taking them off and seeing the thing that was about to pop out under the black bra, I realized how big it was. I couldn't imagine how such a thin person like her could have such a big thing. Her body was really white and tender, with a hint of a student's youth, which was really tempting. What's more, I took it off by force, and the stimulation was unprecedented, and the desire for revenge was satisfied. But I still feel that it is far from enough. If I don't embarrass her enough, that won't work. I want to take off all her clothes so that everyone can see. Maybe some people think that what I did is a bit excessive. However, compared to what she did to me, these are the punishments she deserves. As for her revenge later, I don't care. Just kill me. Before I am killed by them again, I want to complete my revenge. Moreover, they will definitely take revenge on me later, so I should let her suffer now. After I took off Jiang Yao's clothes, she cried even harder and her face turned pale. She immediately covered the exposed part of her body with both hands and begged me again, "Qin Shou, I was wrong, I was really wrong, please don't take off my clothes, okay? Please, I will never bully you again, I will never think about harming Chu Meng again, and I will never strip you naked again." As she spoke, she burst into tears, looking pitiful. She looked really pitiful, but as I said, this was what she deserved. I was much more miserable than her. I cursed in my heart and reached out to untie her bra. This again met with strong resistance from her, and she kept shouting, "No, no." This kind of situation has also happened in movies. Maybe influenced by them, the more she resisted, the more excited I became. The more I wanted to take off her bra and embarrass her. The two of us were entangled together, and the two things on her chest were swinging back and forth because of our entanglement. It was then that I knew more clearly how big her things were. It's so attractive wrapped in a bra, so there's no need to even think about taking it off. Whether it was out of revenge, to teach her a lesson, or my own personal desire, I was eager to know what was inside. After a struggle between us, my hand grabbed the strap of her bra, and then I pulled it hard. Feeling that her bra was about to be pulled off, Jiangyao tightly protected her chest, and her crying became like screaming. She cried pitifully and helplessly, "No, no, woo 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 woo. Considering that we are classmates, can you please forgive me? Now that I think about it, we were desk mates. Why didn't you think of that when you asked Liu Chenghai to beat me? Did you think of that when you asked me to frame Chu Meng? Why didn't you think of that when you tried every possible way to have your foster brother defile Chu Meng?" I yelled at Jiang Yao so loudly that everyone in the class could hear it clearly. I did this, firstly, to vent my anger, and secondly, to let them know that I had no choice. I'm taking revenge. Jiang Yao was stunned by my yelling. She had no reason to refute. After a moment, she started crying again. I didn't care about her crying at all, because at that time, I just wanted to take off Jiang Yao's clothes and see what she looked like there, so that she would be embarrassed. Seeing that begging for mercy was useless, she stopped begging and resisted with all her might, struggling desperately. However, her struggle was completely useless under my dominance. Only then did the usually arrogant Jiang Yao realize how weak she was without anyone to help her. As I pulled hard, the strap of her bra was pulled down little by little, and the spring light inside began to appear dimly. Her face became more and more terrified and panicked, and she screamed desperately and shouted madly. Seeing this, I became excited and the pleasure of revenge surged into my heart. That scene really looked like a scene from a movie. If I push down a little more, I can pull down her bra strap, and I will be able to see her private parts. If I do this, I can make Jiang Yao completely embarrassed. This way I can get revenge. Seeing that resistance was useless, Jiang Yao showed a look of despair on her face.